One Live, it's the San Marino Grand Prix.
Formula One on ITV in association with Texaco.
It's Coulthard coming up the inside of Michael.
Either side of the Minardi, and David Coulthard has taken the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix away from Michael Schumacher.
Then Coulthard then, is this good enough for provisional pole position? Yes, it is at the moment. Fantastic 23.0. So Coulthard pulls one out of the bag at a crucial time of the Grand Prix season.
It's a surprise, but delighted to get the pole position. And I'm putting it down to the glasses, because I saw Mika wearing his blue ones last week, so I thought I had to go for orange this week.
He put the rest in the shade in Brazil. Now David Coulthard's top of the charts again on pole at Imola for the San Marino Grand Prix. Hello there, good afternoon. A very happy Easter to you all. The European F1 season starts right here. Bit more like it at Imola today. Lots of blue sky, nice sunshine, a very pleasant 15 degrees, a big contrast to that rain and chill we had in qualifying yesterday. David Coulthard goes well here. He won in 1998 and he's been on the podium twice since then. Here are the latest standings for you. 3 times world champion on the top. The Scot 6 points behind. Before his Brazilian triumph, Coulthard, he was second in Australia. He won in Malaysia and he's quickest in morning warm-up here as well. Barrichello rarely does well at this track. He's got 10 points. Heidfeld, an impressive 4th for Sauber. Frentzen, he won here back in 97 and Panis scored British American Racing's first points at Interlagos. Tony Jardine and Mark Blundell with me again. Now, Mark, first one for you. We have Coulthard on pole, but Michael Schumacher saying, you got it wrong, pal. You got the wrong tyres. Explain that to us.
Well, Schumacher's on the harder tyre, and he feels that's going to be the way to go. And I can only think that they may take a one-stop option. A couple of guys did it last year, but the critical factor will be that it is so tough on brakes around here, so the wear rate will be high. If they do go for one stop, it'll be interesting. Montoya had a few people thinking from Brazil. The pace with that one stop, Ferrari might go and do it.
Let's talk about David Coulthard. He's never had back-to-back victories in Formula One. How important is it for him to get a run going, Tony?
Well, the role is all important, you know, and he's had the best start he's had to a season for a long, long time. But there is a great feeling that there should be a bit more attention on his side of the garage, rather than that, you know, Häkkinen relationship with Ron Dennis, which he has to break. They're working on that. If they get behind him a bit more, I'm sure he can keep producing the results like this.
OK, let's take a look back at qualifying. Michael Schumacher was trying to equal Ayrton Senna's all-time record of 8 successive poles. At one stage, Mark, it looked as though he's going to do it.
Oh, tremendous lap he put together, and he's pushing very, very hard. Obviously trying to keep the Tifosi happy. A lot of pressure on his shoulders. But, you know, as much as he pushed, I don't think he was going to get it done by the end. And it was a great qualifying.
It was a terrific session, wasn't it? Mika Häkkinen's been on pole here for the last couple of years, and he's put that McLaren on the front row again.
But he's never won this race. He'd love to win this race, and McLaren have been very dominant here. They don't have that dominance anymore. They don't have that power advantage that Mercedes has had over the last 2 years, having to work very hard. He actually got stuck a little bit behind Michael Schumacher on his last run. When Schumacher locked up, he did the same, lost fractions of a second. Nonetheless, he's very happy with the team effort. First front row for a long time.
And in overtime, Tony, David Coulthard, a lap record and pole.
But the team have made a fabulous effort because they damaged the chassis on Friday. They rebuilt a new chassis up till 4 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning. All the engineers back at working overtime as well. So a big team effort behind David. He made adjustments all the way through to the penultimate lap when he started feeling it a bit better, but he said he didn't think he could do it. And he radioed through in the end, actually said, I don't think that lap was good enough.
But of course it was, and Ralf Schumacher good enough to out-qualify elder brother for a change.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to this brotherly love syndrome. I know when I play my brother at squash, I want to kill him. But let's wait and see. Ralf Schumacher's been sticking some lovely laps together in qualifying, but he still doesn't get it done by the race. Brazil was a little bit of disaster, but he needs to make up for this one.
Sure. Right then, Tony, you just take us through the grid, could you?
Well, this is the first McLaren front row since Austria last year, so that's great for the McLaren team, great for all the people back and woking all that support. Ralf Schumacher and his brother together again. When they were together 10 years ago in a kart race, Michael punted his brother off at the start. Truly magnificent effort to take 5th place. And then 6th, Barrichello had problems with traffic. Montoya put a wheel on the grass and he lost some time there. Frentzen also had traffic. Raikkonen saying 10th is not good enough. Great attitude there. And Villeneuve been headed up by Panis, so he's well behind his teammate. Irvine, new development to the Cosworth engine, a new front tyre from Michelin, not good enough yet again. And Bertie, a little crash for him yesterday. Verstappen alongside Alonso, 18th place. He said it felt like pole position. Why? He's ahead of the two Benettons, Fisichella there with the development of the Renault engine, and Button down in 21st place. Marquez, 22nd.
Tony, thanks very much indeed. Before the race, we have a special feature on Juan Pablo Montoya. We'll also be talking to Formula One Supremo Bernie Ecclestone, trying to clarify one or two of the political going on in the world of Formula One. But now we're going to have a word with the man of the moment. Remember David Coulthard dancing that samba of joy after his victory in Brazil, and now he's put his McLaren on the front row. Round one to him in Ferrari country. Here he is with Martin Brundle.
David, it was a great qualifying session yesterday, absolutely thrilling. And at the right moment you delivered a new lap record. You've had a difficult season for qualifying. How have you suddenly turned that around?
The honest answer is I haven't really done anything different, but clearly we've been working on the car, and I think that at the beginning of the season when we had a lot of understeer in the car, Mika was more able to drive around that understeer, and I think that I need the front end, I need to be able to attack the corner, to be able to have the confidence to do the lap time. And as we've been improving the car with many changes, then it started to respond more in the way that I like it to drive, and obviously the lap time's coming from that.
As you were going round, were you thinking every corner as you got out of it, were you thinking, yes, this is working well? Was it feeling good?
It was, but as you know, there's two ways you can go into a qualifying lap. Building on what you've done in the previous runs and knowing you're just going to have to eke out another couple of tenths, and knowing that you have to go considerably quicker, and that's the way I went into that run. And it was a little uncomfortable going to each of the first chicane, second chicane, carrying so much speed into the corner, not honestly knowing whether the car was capable of taking the speed I was carrying. And every time I came out of a corner, it was a relief more than anything. And then obviously once I got to Ackerman Rally and managed that corner well, it was a case of just being sensible in the big stops.
Now, you passed Michael Schumacher to take the win in Brazil with an amazing move. You were in the spray of two cars and you still kept your foot down when Michael lifted. Do you think every time you see his gearbox, I can pass you?
Yeah. If you can see anyone's gearbox that closely, then you're going to pass them. It's as simple as that. Whether it's Michael or whether it's any car.
Is it greater pleasure though when it's Michael?
I think afterwards, when you're talking about it with people, then it sort of sinks in, yes. But when you're actually doing your job, he's just another competitor. He doesn't carry this aura on the track that he appears to carry to the public or to other people around the paddock. I think it's significant that he lifted going through the left-hander onto the straight and others didn't. I think that shows he had it out. It shows he, despite his many great achievements, and I'm not trying to devalue at all what he's achieved in Formula One, but it shows that he is human, and he does have those moments of I don't fancy this much, and my commitment there, obviously my hunger to achieve is maybe a little bit higher because he's already won 3 championships.
Now the McLarens are coming on strong nicely. You're only 6 points behind Michael. What's in your mind about him and about the championship?
I don't think about the championship at all. I think that that's a result of a combination of good results in races, and I don't think you can sit at the beginning of the season and look at that as, of course it's your goal, but you can't look at that as a big picture because you have every Grand Prix along the way to trying to win that championship is very different. So you have to focus 100% on that race. I'm not even really aware of the fact that we're in Italy. Someone was asking, you know, how does it feel to take away the front row from the Italians in Italy? Well, this is another Grand Prix. It could be anywhere. You know, when you're really focused on trying to get the job done, it doesn't matter what the scenery is. Of course, it's very red here, but it's only when you leave the track you realise that maybe you're not as welcome as some others in this country.
It's a bit lively in the roads around this circuit, doesn't it? But he's making great play of the fact that he is hungrier than Michael Schumacher and the world champion lifted in Brazil.
Yes, psychology game. But DC is strong in the head at the moment. He really is. And when he's strong in the head, he's going to be connected to the right foot. And this is the acid test for me. If DC gets away from this race with another win, I think this could be the beginning of building a championship. Brazil, pole, there's only one thing left for him to do, and I think he could do it.
Tony, where does he stand now in the McLaren team? The McLaren bosses say they're both equal, Häkkinen and Coulthard. Some people feel that Häkkinen is perhaps a bit more equal than David.
There's no question about it that they are equal number one and they get equal equipment and machinery. You can see Ron Dennis there. I think Ron just needs to give David Coulthard a big hug every now and then and say, go on son, go for it, whatever, because there is a special relationship between him and Häkkinen. There's Adrian Newey, the technical director. They're seen on Häkkinen's side of the garage more than they are on David's side of the garage. And sometimes David says he is disadvantaged on the track tactically by decisions made by Big Ron. So if he can continue this way, they get more behind him. Perhaps, as Mark says, we'll get more of this role continuing.
Okay, well now let's turn our attention to the man who has taken Formula One by storm this year, Juan Pablo Montoya. Could have won in Brazil if he hadn't been taken out by the Dutchman Jos Verstappen. You'd have thought Holland would be the last place he'd visit, but that's where Louise Goodman caught up with him in Amsterdam.
What was it like when you drove a Formula One car for the first time?
You know, you come from a smaller Formula, when you get to drive a Formula One car, you start going faster to the corners where you think is fast. And every lap you can go faster and faster and faster, and you can't believe it.
Montoya has been going faster and faster at every race this season, and as he showed us in Brazil, he's more than capable of mixing it with and beating the best drivers in the world. So far, his full-throttle driving style has brought little reward. The Colombian hasn't finished a race yet, but even though fate has conspired against him, he's always maintained a cool head.
I can't believe how calm you were. I mean, you just got out and waved to the fans and said thank you to the sponsors and...
But there's nothing else you can do. What, you know, I think last year, that's something I learned in America. You know, last year, at the beginning, I was really pissed off. You know, first race, the engine blew up, you're like, oh, it's okay, it's first race. You know. Second race, same thing. Third race, same thing. Fourth race, you go, argh! Or, you know, when the engine's only last, something else breaks. And it was really frustrating. And I had to learn to keep calm because the next race will come.
Last year may have been difficult, but there were plenty of good times for Juan Pablo in the US. He became the youngest man ever to win the Champ Car Series in '99, and last year added the prestigious Indy 500 race to his list of victories.
I think, you know, going to America built my confidence, and coming here, I didn't say, you know, my goals never been guard the first season and, you know, beat everybody, because the car wasn't ready, tire were not ready, engine wasn't ready yet to, you know, to win. So I came to a car that is moving, you know, it's in halt, you know, it's climbing to get to the top again. And I think what we're showing in Brazil, and you know, as the season is starting to get on, is that we have the potential to be up front.
And you don't seem to be daunted by any of the other drivers either.
No, not really. You know, they're good drivers. It's very competitive series, but it doesn't mean that you're gonna go and, oh, it's this guy, oh, this is, no, you can't. You know, you're racing and you're here because you're capable of doing a job. From my perspective, I'm not gonna go and say, oh, it's Michael Schumacher or it's Mika Häkkinen or something, you know, be after you. You can't, you know, we're racing, and, you know, my goal is to win races, not to let somebody else win.
Do you think that might lead some people to believe that maybe you're sort of a bit overconfident or cocky and, you know...
I'm not cocky because I know I have loads of things to learn. You know, I'm just in a learning curve, and there's a lot of things that I'm in disadvantage. You know, it's my third race in Formula One. Qualifying, for example, I haven't got it right yet. First race a bit under, last race, a bit too much. But, you know, you learn from that, and you gotta try to make it better.
Williams with the team one way and another that everybody was talking about in Brazil. Do you think it will be the same at Imola, or are you on an upward spiral?
I think, you know, Brazil was a really good race for us, and I think it inspired a lot of people. I think people, you know, could see light at the end of the tunnel. We could say, you know, they see they're capable of get to win races now, and you know, there's still a lot more work to do before we can be, I think, all time on maximum level. But it's definitely getting better.
Confident, not cocky. The odd embellishment to his English, but. Are we getting too worked up about him too soon? I mean, he hasn't he had a pit stop, has he?
He hasn't delivered yet in terms of result, Jim, but believe me, this guy's got awesome car control. I've been wheel to wheel with this guy over 200 miles an hour, and he is perfect. And he's second to none for me in ability, and I think he's the future of the sport. But you know, JPM, do not write the guy off. He will be strong.
Heck of a calling card he gave to Michael Schumacher, wasn't it?
Oh, what more can you say? I mean, you know, no respect for a world champion. There's nobody else out there to worry about. He's done him and he's dusted, and JPM will go on.
I'm personally getting a bit worried about Jenson Button, the man he replaced at Williams, Tony. He was having a desperately difficult time with Benetton.
Well, he's feeling very frustrated because he's seeing this car that Montoya's stepping into, which he helped develop as well. And there he is, you know, discussing stuff with his engineers. Very difficult time. But he did get the Lorenzo Bandini Award over this weekend for Best Newcomer in 2000, about 30 kilometres north of here. Helped him a little bit. And he says, I feel like kicking the car at times. But there's also suggestions coming back to us that the car very difficult for him to drive. And they're saying, you better change your driving style, you know, adapt yourself, because we can't change a car.
Can you change your driving style briefly?
Well, you have to adapt, but you won't change your driving style. For me, that is a no-no. I mean, like Jenson, do not do it. Get the car to suit you. That's the thing.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm sure you'll be aware Formula One can be a pretty political world, and I'm sure you've seen lots of the stories suggesting that there could be new owners, that the motor manufacturers could break away and form their own series, even that you out there couldn't have to pay to see your F1 on the telly. And when this stuff is flying around, there's only one man to visit. Bernie, I think there's a fair bit of confusion out there as to what is happening with the politics of Formula One. Give us your view of the current state of play.
A lot of confusion. I think that's about it. No, all that's simply happened is that the operating companies in Formula One are the same as they've always been. I'm the chief executive, and nothing's changed. Nothing's changed at all. The people, EMTV, were the original people, the TV company. Well, they're not actually a TV company. They call themselves EMTV, but they're not. They're people, programmers in Munich that originally took 50% of the company. Have taken their option for another 25%, but it's nothing to do with the operating company at all.
How about the manufacturers, Bernie?
They think that they would like to be involved, which they had a good opportunity over the period to be involved if they wanted to be. And they missed the boat a little bit because I think they misjudged what was going to happen. But I think in the end, people will start talking.
Do you think that you ultimately are going to have to broker a deal to keep, and you're not bad at that, I have to say, to keep all parties satisfied?
I think they'll broker their deals themselves. You know, they know what they want and what they're trying to achieve. So I think it'll sort itself out in the end.
Is it a case from the manufacturer's point of view of them coming into Formula One when it is sexy, when it is very strong?
No, basically I think the problem was, as long as they thought I was totally in control, which I never have been actually,
really?
They were happy. And they think, you know, I suddenly keel over or something happens to me, and they don't really want to be in the hands of somebody they don't know. I mean, that's the truth.
What sort of credibility would you put on a rival series to Formula One being formed by the manufacturers?
I haven't got the slightest idea. I think they'd be a little bit silly if they decided this is the way to go, because they can do it in a much better way. I mean, really, they're in Formula One to sell their products. That's what they're there for, not to run races or run race teams or anything like that. So I suppose in the end, that's probably what they'll come down to that and say, well, that's what we ought to do.
And would I be right in thinking that Formula One essentially, because of the agreements that are in force, has to stay the same until 2007?
Well, the current contracts are there till the end of 2007, yes, for sure. All the teams have to compete, and it basically has to stay as it is now. But as you know, Formula One never stays as it is. We hopefully move on. I hope it doesn't stay the way it is. I hope it moves on and progresses anyway.
You've been watching the first few races at home on ITV, yes, like millions of others out there. Just before we put this subject to bed, there is a fear that Formula One might go on paid television and not be available on terrestrial?
Absolutely no fear at all. The agreement I've made with these people is to stay with them for 5 years, if I'm alive and well. And that is that it will not go on pay-per-view. That's one of the agreements. And they've committed, they said it won't. I mean, Kirsch, that are basically a little bit, they're funding the operation for EMTV. They're also a broadcaster like you. Free over air. They do pay-per-view and free over air broadcast, but their biggest, largest company is free over air television.
So with all these hassles going on, are you wondering about your own personal involvement in this game?
No, nothing's changed for me. Everything's the same.
But you stay the ringmaster, you stay in control of Formula One?
Yeah, as much as I ever have been.
Bernie, just finally sum up for us F1 2001 from your point of view.
Going to be another good year, another good year. A few more people that can win, whether they do or not is another story, but could win races.
And the little fellow in the white shirt is still going to be at the head of it all.
Well, let's see. Let's see.
Thanks, Bernie.
Thank you very much.
He'll go when he wants to, Tony, but just give us your view on things. You keep your ear very close to the ground in this sport.
Well, I think the manufacturers have poured millions in themselves and they've gone, hey, what about me? We need something back about this. In order to stay in longer, if they get something back, they can justify it to their own boards as well. But the team owners and the team managers think, well, hang on, the manufacturers come and the manufacturers go. We still have to run Formula One. That's why when we're having breakfast at Jordan the other morning, all these team bosses were coming out at the moment, they're having their own separate meetings. Perhaps they're also trying to get more out of it at the same time. What is clear to me is that it's not over yet.
Okay, then. If you're just joining us, just over 20 minutes to go to the start of the San Marino Grand Prix, but Tony there mentioning some of the team's views. Let's hear some of those views, shall we? First of all, talking to Sir Frank Williams, the team boss of BMW Williams.
It must be clear that the Concord Agreement, which binds the FIA and the promoter and all the teams, does not expire till 2007. It's a long way down the road, so I do think that talk of a different series today is really premature. It doesn't bother me at all.
It's not 100% clear yet what has to be changed, what should be changed, what could be made better. But everybody has the same interests, is to keep Formula One as an interesting platform, as it is for a long, long time, because that's the only way that we all kind of get out something out of this business.
I've seen other series where many manufacturers have been involved and have basically killed the series. I only can hope that we find maybe a way that it still can run as in the past, because Bernie has proven right. Not everyone will agree always with the way he does it, but you have to look at the final result.
It's a great formula. It's a great form of motor racing. It is the pinnacle of motor racing, and there's too many people that want it to continue for it to go wrong. But it's going to be a long, protracted negotiation, I'm sure.
It is a great formula, and we will be right back with Murray's Imola memories and Martin ducking and diving down the grid.
Okay, so
Rory Byrne, Ferrari designer, a man who probably never sleeps. Every week, every Grand Prix, we seem to have new noses on your Ferraris.
well, I wouldn't say that, but yeah, certainly the pace of development in Formula One is extremely rapid, and you know, it's really one of the reasons why I don't come to races, because I've got more than enough work, you know, managing and the development program and overseeing, you know, the various areas that I'm responsible for to improve the car. You know, it's a tough job, really is.
But while there's ongoing development from race to race, before the start of the season, do you already have clear in your head the sort of tweaks you want to make, say, when you know you're coming to Imola?
Well, yes, we're always working ahead of time. So even before we first run the car, we're always, you know, there's always an ongoing program. I mean, we try and think more medium term as much as we can.
Well, we'll see how it works. Best of luck, and thank you very much, Rory.
Thank you.
Murray Walker's Imola memories.
Imola, close to Bologna and home of the passionate Ferrari-loving Tifosi, has seen some truly epic races, as well as Formula One's most tragic weekend. The first San Marino Grand Prix was held in 1981, but a year later, Imola was the scene of bitter political confrontation, as a result of which 10 teams staged a boycott. Ferrari's Didier Pironi stole victory by breaking a pre-race agreement with his teammate Gilles Villeneuve. Still furious, Villeneuve was tragically killed at the very next event. But in 1983, the emotional Tifosi erupted when Ferrari's Patrick Tambay won, carrying Villeneuve's famous number 27. In 1987, it was a dominant win for the man the Tifosi called Il Leone, the Lion, Britain's Nigel Mansell.
Nigel Mansell, Williams Honda, crosses the line and takes the checkered flag to win the San Marino Grand Prix.
Nigel's teammate Nelson Piquet was a non-starter after a colossal crash at the Tamburello corner and had to watch in irritation as his arch-enemy took the spoils. It was at the start of the 1989 San Marino Grand Prix that Ayrton Senna and his McLaren teammate Alain Prost clashed. They would become implacable enemies. Senna won 3 times at Imola, but the track would eventually claim his life. His crash at Tamburello in 1994 robbed Formula One of one of its greatest ever drivers. Michael Schumacher took that race, but showed no joy from an empty victory. But in 1996, Damon Hill won for Williams for a second year in succession in what was to be his triumphant championship year. In 1999, Michael Schumacher brought joy to the Tifosi. His brilliant strategical win was helped by a rare mistake from Mika Hakkinen. Michael triumphed again last year with a similar superb strategy. Can Schumacher make it 3 in a row at Imola this year? In his current form, I wouldn't bet against it.
McLaren just might argue with you, though, Murray. They got their strategy absolutely right in Brazil. This time, Michael Schumacher has been stoking the fires, claiming they're on the wrong tyres. James Allen reporting.
Well, when Ferrari took that gamble on the harder Bridgestone tyre, they knew it was going to hurt them. They knew they might well lose the front row grid slot, and of course they did. And with it went the tactical advantage going into today's race. This place in general is a 2-stop circuit. The thing is, no one really knows how long these softer Bridgestone tyres, which the McLaren team are using, how long they're going to last. Ferrari might choose to use the harder tyres to run some slightly longer stints. Time will tell, but don't rule out this guy here. He's my dark horse for the race, Ralf Schumacher. Those Michelin tyres have been running extremely strongly, and he could really put up a challenge. The key moment of today's race is going to be the middle stint, going into that second pit stop. Then we'll find out who had the right strategy and the right tactics, and we'll probably find out who's going to win the race then. Should be fantastic.
James, thank you very much indeed. Just under 15 minutes to go to the start of the San Marino Grand Prix. Let's get right down there in the middle of all that action and join Martin Brundle.
Thank you, Jim. Hello, team. Happy Easter to you and welcome to the grid. So what do you want to know? Let's have a little cruise along. And 2 McLarens on the front row, of course. DC looking very relaxed and cool. I know he had a couple of great starts when he was practicing them this morning. Hakkinen, his wife's here for the first time for some races. Apparently she always brings him good luck. There's virtually absolutely no drivers on the grid at this time. I was checking them out just before you threw down to me, and they've all left the grid to go to the loo. So we're not going to see too many of those. I know Ralph just disappeared. We got I mean, look, it's a complete zoo on the grid here. You can virtually see absolutely nothing at all. But the crowd are remarkably calm. I know there's low numbers here today, and because it's Easter Sunday, but there's no real buzz that you normally get around here. But here's a man we can probably talk to. EJ, you were looking so good in Brazil, and then it all fell apart at the last. What is this on here?
Oh, come on, man. They're my special Easter pants, my lucky pants.
Your special Easter pants. Well, they made of chocolate or something. You eat them later or something?
I think they were given as a special little thing. We won't say who, but a special fan who sends us things and various things, and it's a lucky omen, I hope. Let's hope it. We didn't wear anything in Brazil. Let's hope I'm wearing it today. We can get something here.
Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, you looked so strong for some points. What's your prediction for today? Who's going to be strong?
Well, obviously the two guys in the front row, Davis, Mika, they will have a strong race. I wouldn't rule out ourselves. I wouldn't rule out the BMW because we saw what they were able to do in Brazil. But Michael still has to be the favourite. He's on the harder tyres. Whether that's a good thing or not now that the heat has come into the track, I think the soft tyre runner will still be okay. Who knows? Let's hope we have an exciting race like we've had. The first three races were absolutely brilliant, and yesterday's qualifying was equally as exciting. If it continues like that, who cares at the moment? It's a Jordan runner.
Best of Irish luck, Ed. Here's a little man I want to have a word with. Bernard, great to see you again. We've really, really missed you. We haven't seen you for ages.
Why is that?
Well, you've obviously been staying home watching F1 ITV, yeah?
No, I've been there. I've been there all the races. I just low profile, that's all.
All right. Oh, you've been there. We missed you. So what have you been up to? I see you've sold about 140% of Formula One so far. When are you getting rid of the rest of it?
Trying to get rid of the 60% this afternoon.
All right, yeah. So there's a little bit of flack out there at the moment. The old I've been out testing my Bentley Le Mans car, and I've sort of been out of the loop. I hear you're going to be working with the manufacturers or something.
I've been working for everybody all my life, so what difference? Another one way or the other won't make any difference.
Yeah, good. Well, I assume you're going to sort of put your normal piece of invisible elastic and it all comes shooting back to you anytime soon.
Don't be naughty.
All right, good stuff. It's good to talk to you, Bernie. And look, don't leave us in a hurry because it'll all fall apart if you're not around.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Cheers. OK, I think that's probably enough from the grid. The Ferraris are here very, very late, and I'm going to throw you back to the studio.
Well done, Martin, our big Easter bunny, down there in the zoo on the grid. Jacques Villeneuve is looking to put things right, I would think, Tony Jardine, wouldn't he, in this race after a pretty miserable qualifying, Villeneuve?
Yeah, he said it didn't come to us at all, but Panis is ahead of him, and he won't be happy about that. He went a little bit too early, and Craig Pollock was complaining about the team going out too early in qualifying as well. But strong with the Honda power, and there's Niki Lauda. And Eddie Irvine, your mate.
Edmund Irvine, yeah. The interesting thing with Jaguar at the moment is the Niki Lauda, Bobby Rails situation, and it's a real power play. But I'm interested to see who's still going to be there at the end of the season.
They're having a miserable time with that car, aren't they, at the moment, Jaguar? Who, Mark, though, do you think has got it right with these tyres now? It's warming up nicely.
It's going to be a lottery in some respects. I mean, you know, the problem is that the soft tyre is good in performance and will be good as the rubber gets laid down on the racetrack. The performance will get enhanced. But durability-wise, we might see that a harder tyre comes through, and as we say, we might see a Ferrari going for a one-stop strategy. We've seen it early on, and it could play off.
Well, that's a bit more like it. The Tifosi here, greeting, of course, the first Ferrari individual world champion back in Italy for 21 years. 1 and 2 gaps out there. The Catholic Bishop of Imola has said don't come to the race on this particular day, and there's a bit of a ticket scam as well. 12,000 tickets have gone missing, but Tony, no shortage of enthusiasm among that little lot.
No, I mean, this is the heart of Emilia-Romagna territory. They're a different set from the set of Tifosi that go up to Monza as well. They're a little bit quieter than at Monza, where they scale the fences and hurl missiles and things like that, but they're here for Ferrari. But unfortunately, when they read out the qualifying times yesterday, the crowd went silent. They don't understand the situation with the tyres.
Right then, well, David Coulthard ran the show here back in 1998, pole position and race winner. Are we in for an action replay? Will Hakkinen find the sweet spot at a circuit where he's never flourished? Who has chosen the right tyres? Can Michael Schumacher deliver for those Tifosi once again? Could it be Ralph's day in the Williams? Never discount Trulli, Montoya or Barrichello. The San Marino Grand Prix is next.
Ross Brawn, an unusual position for you at the start of the race. Your car's not on pole position. How much is that going to affect your race tactics?
A little bit. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're dealing with more possibilities. Obviously in pole position, you're more concerned about one or two cars around you. Unfortunately, back here, you've got a bigger number of considerations to make, but we'll see.
Now, Michael's there on the harder compound tyre. Does that mean that he's more likely to do a one-stop strategy, or are you going to send him out with a heavy fuel load and then play it by ear? Because it doesn't look as though we're going to have any rain to alter your tactics.
I don't think there's any rain, but I couldn't possibly tell you any more than that.
Oh, it was worth a try. Thanks, Ross.
On a beautiful spring day in Ferrari country, Imola, not far from Bologna in northern Italy. Watch out for a super competition after the race. But now, enjoy the San Marino Grand Prix on ITV with Martin Brundle and Murray Walker. Afternoon, Murray.
Afternoon, Jim. I'm in my usual state up here. High tension, heart beating like a trip hammer, whatever that is. Well, 4 degrees on Thursday it was when we arrived here. Very, very much anorak time and raincoat time. Look at it now. Blazing sunshine, blue skies, 14 degrees. And that is good for Michelin. Now, the Michelin tyres go better in the heat. Look at Brazil. They were really, really worried on Thursday, Friday, and yesterday to a great extent. They're much happier now, especially master Ralf Schumacher. Third on the grid. It isn't actually the first time he's qualified in Formula One ahead of his brother Michael, but it hasn't happened very many times. Now, the prospects for the start here are absolutely incredible. There he is, David Coulthard. The last time he was in pole position here at Imola, he won the race, 1998. Mika Häkkinen, there he is, really on the boil, totally focused. Wife Air here to provide the support that he finds so very, very helpful. And behind them, with arguably the greatest power of all, the BMW engine in the Williams, Ralf Schumacher, ready, he hopes, to burst through at the start, take the lead, take advantage of his tyres and get away. But not if brother Michael can do anything to stop him. Look at him, 4th on the grid. Rubens Barrichello behind him, 6th on the grid. What's your reading?
I think this is a very, very difficult race to read, Murray. Clearly the McLarens are working better, as we've seen in Brazil too. Ferrari on the harder tyre, we know the only team to go that route. I think the dark horses are very much the BMW Williams on their Michelin tyres. The Jordans, Eddie said watch out for our men, but I think they'll be keeping a watching brief rather than really getting in the thick of the action. And because of the wet-dry nature of the weekend, I don't think anybody absolutely knows for sure. Michael's been supremely confident that he is on the right tyre and everybody else is on the wrong tyre. That may prove to be the case as the afternoon goes on. Track temperatures are up, but it's not a significant factor, I don't believe, at this time. So really difficult to call. Who might be one stopping in there? I'm sure James has taken you through some of this already, but Montoya must be the biggest candidate to do that down there in 7th place. The rest of them, this race is almost always won on a two-stopper. It's just a question of what will Michael Schumacher do to try to maximise his relatively lowly grid position of 4th and get ahead of the McLarens, and that's going to be absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, let's just remind ourselves what this 1-stop, 2-stop, 3-stop stuff is all about. I've had it suggested that teams like Arrows, and Jos Verstappen is down 17th on the grid, his teammate Bernoldi 16th, as we look at Michael Schumacher, might even go 3 stops, because by so doing you can start off with a much lighter fuel load, take advantage of that to get ahead of the people who are on a heavier fuel load in front of you, and if you've timed it right, it can work out well at the end. I would be very surprised if that happened. As Martin says, everybody last year that mattered did 2 stops, but you never know, especially with Ross Brawn, the Ferrari tactician, and Michael Schumacher, his ally in the cockpit, because they have pulled some flankers in the past which have been brilliantly successful. The sun continues to shine. I do believe there's going to be no problem at all with the weather here as the grid is clearing, because it is blue skies overhead, blazing sunshine. This track just over 3 miles long. You're going to see it, and Martin will talk you around. But it is a course which, unlike a lot of them these days, has the benefit, the advantage, the excitement of not only every kind of corner, but gradient as well, both uphill and downhill.
Yes, and it's an anti-clockwise circuit, an unusually pole on the left-hand side here, although it's a left-hander first, because it's bumpy, particularly down the right-hand side of the track. The line tends to be all the way down the left, so pole position man gets the cleanest side of the racetrack. And of course, that's David Coulthard, and they'll all try and lay a little bit of whatever type of rubber they're on down on their grid hatching to give them a bit of extra bite next time around.
And everybody's got away all right. I'm just looking out of the window at the grid as I talk to you. As they go into the first chicane, the Tamburello, which is where Ayrton Senna so tragically lost his life, and there were 2 or 3 chicanes put in as a result of that to slow things down a bit. And this is the Villeneuve chicane before Tosa, the left-hander.
But a Formula 3000 car dropped it on the exit of that Tamburello chicane. It's an enormous crash in the wall, so it's still a very, very fast area, particularly on the exit. They're now heading uphill over the blind crest into Piratella. That's a wonderful corner, really beckons you in and says, right, attack me, have some fun through here. And a Formula 1 car works beautifully, and then just falls down. There's a much steeper hill than it appears there from this helicam shot. That first Acqua Minerale can be a bit tricky. A lot of people get caught out there. It's a little bit bumpy on the way in. Later in the race, a bit tired, or your tyres a little bit used in second hand, it's easy to run wide through there, and then you're guaranteed to have an accident and stay in the gravel trap. Then the high chicane, the Variante Alta, and a new patch of tarmac in there a couple, 3 years ago, just on the exit. And again, providing you don't launch too heavily across the curbs, you've got to use the curbs, but you've got to somehow bring the car down in an even way, front and rear, so you can get straight back on the power again. And then a big downhill sweeping stop into Rivazza 1, and all you're looking at there is the wall ahead of you, and often marshals. You can see marshals and other people. It's a straight ahead position there is not good at all, but a lot of grip under braking. Rivazza 2, then an easy 170 miles an hour right-hand sweep before you have to punish the brakes and slow down just one final time towards the end of the lap.
Yeah, David Coulthard starting, well, he's well ahead at the present moment, but he'll slow down because the last thing that he wants is for the grid to take a long time to form. 22 starters.
Yes, I think David's probably arrived at his grid slot a bit too early there. He really needed to back that pack up. He's going to be an awful long time sitting on pole position.
Does that matter? Of course it matters. If you overheat the clutch and you have difficulty engaging first gear, which they probably won't do until the first of the 5 red lights come on, and I remind you about the starting procedure. Lights one at a time until all 5 are on, then there's a pre-programmed pause. When they go out, it is go. David Coulthard on the right, Mika Häkkinen on the left. The grid is still forming. Watch Ralf Schumacher in the white blue Williams BMW, the man with the yellow helmet, as the tail ender Tarso Marquez lines up on the grid. 22nd, the lights in the top left corner of your screen. 62 laps, 1 on, 2 on, 3 on, 4 on, 5, pause, and it's go, and it's good for David Coulthard, and Ralf Schumacher is already past Häkkinen, and he's going for the lead. He's done it. Fabulous. Ralf Schumacher is now going to use that grunt to pull away the Williams BMW from Coulthard, and the top Jordan has also gone ahead in 3rd position. That's Jarno Trulli. So, 2 dramatic changes right at the start of the San Marino Grand Prix. Williams BMW, Ralf Schumacher leads, and then behind him in 2nd place it is the McLaren of David Coulthard. Then it's Jarno Trulli, Mika Häkkinen down from 2nd to 4th, and Michael Schumacher down from 4th to 5th. What an opening!
Coulthard then too much wheel spin on the start. I think he rolled slightly early. The red lights were on for a very, very long time. Hopefully there's been no jump starts, but Coulthard lighting up the rear wheels. Ralf getting the perfect start, slotting down the inside. And well, we said those Williams could well be dark horses. This is a dream start for them.
So where is Juan Pablo Montoya in the other Williams BMW? Can't tell you at the present moment. All I can tell you is that Mazzacane is last at the present moment. He's already been passed by Jenson Button and by Tarso Marquez in the European Minardi. So there is Häkkinen, there is Schumacher, and there is Montoya going through. Look for the Williams. There's Schumacher, and Montoya is ahead of Panis in the BAR, who started in front of him.
Yes, that was a good run. It's very unusual to see an overtaking manoeuvre into that final chicane. Just shows the straight line speed of that Williams. And look, Ralf Schumacher pulling away, 0.9 of a second lead at the end of lap 1. And Montoya already on his way through the field up into P6. Michael Schumacher's his next target. And look, truly off the road, he should just save that. He should keep his position. It'll be a bit of a handful when he gets to the top of Piratella.
And Rubens Barrichello is dropping back. He started 6th in the Ferrari. He is now in 8th position. He's been passed by Montoya. He has been passed by Olivier Panis. And Barrichello really does need to impress in this race.
Well, apparently there is an investigation underway for potential jump starts. I don't know who that might be, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll keep an eye on the computer. Could have been Ralf, of course, with that stunning start. Coulthard was definitely looking like he edged forwards, but I don't know if that was after the light. And here's a replay, so that's a little bit too late into it to check for a jump start, but it just shows you the way that Williams catapulted off the line and then truly making it stick up the inside of Häkkinen to take 3rd place.
Power with a capital P. Now here's Schumacher again. Watch him, right-hand side. He gets right alongside the white line. All the cars have got an electrical sensor underneath them in the track to see whether they move before they should.
I don't think it was Coulthard. I think, what are we watching here? That was Coulthard lighting up his tyres. I think it would be a BAR that jumped the start if I had to make a guess, but I'm, you know, We think it's one of the BARs that jumped the start, so that could well be Panis.
Well, the BARs were 8th and 11th. Panis starting in front of Villeneuve, as he has done before this season. Honours even. 2 starts in front for Villeneuve, 2 starts in front for Panis, and the race is now starting to settle down a bit. Ralf Schumacher has obviously made the fastest lap of the race. It's early days, we're on lap 3, but already he is leading David Coulthard from pole position, Coulthard, by 1.4 seconds. Jarno Trulli is 3.6 seconds. Look at the gap down there as the Williams BMW streaks away, and in 4th position it's Häkkinen ahead of Schumacher and Montoya. So it is exactly as Williams, BMW, Schumacher, and I'm going to call him Ralph from now on. It's going to get very confusing if I don't. So Ralph is the man in the lead, and Ralph is Schumacher. Now, what we don't know, of course, for any of these cars is what their strategy is. Strategy and tyres are vital, all important. Here is the race leader. Is he on 1 stop? Is he on 2 stops? There is the second man, David Coulthard. Jarno Trulli, Mika Häkkinen, Michael Schumacher, Pablo Montoya, Panis and Barrichello.
Well, certainly the speed of Schumacher, he's over half at 7/10 of a second faster on that lap than David Coulthard, who's another 7/10 faster than anybody else. So Schumacher and Coulthard at the front just easing away. And look, the Ferraris are now nose to tail. That must mean there's been a mistake, or Montoya has... Something's happened, because we've got the Ferraris now. Michael Schumacher's dropped down to 6th place. Montoya is ahead of him according to the computer.
Yes, he is. And according to the track, and there he is. There is Montoya. Behind him is Panis. So he's coming through the field. It's Juan Pablo Montoya, the Colombian, who has been so sensational already this season. He's starting to make his way up through the field. He started in 7th position. He's now 5th.
Yes, well, I'd like to see a replay of that. Either Michael's made a mistake, and yes, look, very, very slow out of the last corner, Michael. Lost a lot of drive, and then clearly picks it back up again. So some kind of gearbox problem then. We think even Barrichello now has passed Michael Schumacher. Does he have a gear shift problem?
Well, remember, Montoya passed Michael Schumacher brilliantly in Brazil.
Yes, he's behind his teammate Barrichello, Murray. So Michael Schumacher then clearly with problems.
We're going to have a lot of people leaving early this afternoon if the Ferraris don't do better than this, because they are down. Ralf Schumacher, lap 5, here he is. He's whizzed well through. That was Montoya, followed by Panis, and you can see that they are very close now. It's still obviously all 22 running. Mazzacani is last, Marquez is last but 1, and the other Minardi is 20th. Jenson Button is in 19th place, so he's gained 2 places. And Bernoldi in the arrows has slipped down through the field a bit as Barrichello runs wide. Michael Schumacher had an opportunity to get past there, but he was too far back. But in Tosa now, that's about an 80-mile-an-hour corner, climbing up towards the Piratella, which they take at about 100 miles an hour, and then start to drop downhill over the crest now. Here is Ralf Schumacher, nearly a 3-second lap, 3-second advantage over David Coulthard. Driving beautifully. He has yet to win a Grand Prix, of course, Ralf Schumacher. Ex-Jordan, now with Williams.
Well, we better hope those Ferraris are on a 1 stop and very heavy with fuel in this early stages of the race. The optimum stop point, as I understand, is about lap 32. I think they'll go further than that if they are 1 stopping, but at the moment they're 7th and 8th and already 11 seconds behind this man, Ralf Schumacher, your leader.
If they are 2 stopping, I would expect them to come in this 62-lap race as Ralf Schumacher goes through ahead of Coulthard. Round about lap 27, and they're round about lap 48. That's the battle between Trulli and Häkkinen, followed by Montoya in 5th position, and the Ferraris in line abreast down in 7th and 8th place, and Michael Schumacher is the 8th place man. 28 seconds now covers the grid. Field from Ralf Schumacher leading to Mazzacani in 22nd place.
Jenson Button, just to let you know, is down in 19th position, had a reasonable start, appears to have lost 1 place. It was 18th, I think, in the early stages. So now Barrichello collected himself up after that small mistake, homing in on Panis, but no information yet on who jumped the start, if anybody.
Well, there are a lot of glum faces round me. We're in one of the grandstands opposite the garages, and there are thousands of Italians around us, very quiet and looking at very, very unhappy, because after all, Michael Schumacher had already won 6 races on the trot. And there is the BAR, chased by Barrichello, the BAR of Olivier Panis. And Barrichello leading Michael Schumacher, and the 2 Ferraris, as I said before, way down the field. They're not even in the points at the present moment. A puff of smoke there from the back of the Honda-powered BAR of Frenchman Olivier Panis, who incidentally is showing the way to Jacques Villeneuve this season. Villeneuve down in 10th position, the 1997 world champion.
If Michael Schumacher had a gearbox problem, it appears to have sorted itself out, and the European Minardi of Alonso, as you point out, is obviously out of the race. But we're going to see why now. Oh, that's the curb I was telling you about at the high chicane, and you really can't use it as heavily as that. And, well, that's made a mess.
Well, that's the first race in 4 that the Minardi team, who struggled so hard since Paul Stoddart has taken them over, to get onto the grid at all for the first race in Australia. It's the first race where they have had any damage at all, and hopefully that's not going to be too expensive to fix. Now, look, Panis is definitely holding up Barrichello in 7th position. I don't think he's holding up Michael Schumacher. There's quite a gap between the 2 Ferraris now. But the gap between Montoya, who is 5th, and Panis, who is in 6th position, is just about 1.5 seconds.
Well, Panis getting very ragged, but he's got the inside line now into the Variante Alta, and they can't overtake anyway. Yellow flags are waving for Alonso's Minardi that hasn't been cleared away yet, so rightly so, Rubens backed off, but Panis had the line anyway.
Martin, let me just try a wild one on you. I don't think this is the case. Clutching for straws on behalf of Ferrari enthusiasts. Heavy fuel load, that's why they're going slower.
Well, I'm hoping so. Otherwise, they really have. They've just made a big mistake on these tyres by judging them from the green track on Friday. You've got to look at their pace, which is in the 129s. Now Coulthard is on 28.0, so some 1.5 seconds a lap faster is David Coulthard. You've got to assume and hope those Ferraris are both on heavy fuel to try to make good use of their more durable tyres.
Oh, and as Jos Verstappen in the arrows, I was hypothesising, just might be on 3 starts coasting in. Alonso is out of the race. It looks as though Verstappen is as well.
And look at little Raikkonen there in the Sauber, hanging on with his customer Ferrari engine there, hanging on to the 2 works Ferraris of Barrichello and Schumacher, of course. So Raikkonen then is in 9th place. Coulthard has now closed that lead down, Murray, to just 2.2 seconds.
Right, here are the top 10. Lap 8, Ralf Schumacher leads David Coulthard. 3rd is Trulli. 4th is Hakkinen. 5th is Montoya. 6th is Panis. 7th is Barrichello. 8th is Michael Schumacher. 9th is Kimi Raikkonen. And in 10th place, Jacques Villeneuve in the BAR. And here are Panis, Barrichello, Schumacher, 6th, 7th, 8th.
Barrichello's got a great chance this time around. He's going to have to try and go round the outside. You've got to do it, Rubens. You've got to get past him. He can't turn in on you now, and that was a good move from Barrichello. Had to make it stick.
I was going to say, can Michael follow through while Panis is running wide? But Olivier, who is a crafty campaigner, he's been racing a long time now. This is his 94th Grand Prix. Shut the door in Michael's face. Oh no, you're not going to. And as you say, Michael, Martin, look at the way Kimi Raikkonen, only his 4th Grand Prix, 21 years old in the Sauber, is hanging on. I talked to Willy Ramph, the Sauber designer, this morning, and I said, why is the car so good? Is it balanced? He said, yes, we've got the car beautifully balanced. Most of the field are suffering from understeer on the corners. That is to say, the front of the car trying to run wide and not go where the driver wants it to. He said, we don't.
Well, Panis has got good speed from that Honda engine, but his car is ragged, really struggling with that. He's slow on the exit of virtually all of the corners, but I think because he's got such good straight line speed and he's driving very defensively, he's difficult to get past. We saw Barrichello pull a nice and very necessary move to do that. Now Michael's got to take the same risk.
Yeah, and that's proven, Martin, by the fact that Barrichello is now up the road. Look at the gap as they go up towards the Piratella on lap 9 out of 62. And now Michael is having a look. And Olivier just shuts the door, right and left at the Variante Alta, the highest point of the course. Drop downhill. Michael's going for it.
Yes, Michael, I think, will pull the same move. Will Panis go to block him? No, he can't. He's not. I think he's too busy fighting himself, Panis, to get too heavy with the current World Championship leader.
Getting a few smiles now from the crowd. Barrichello is in the points, 6th position, 2.1 seconds behind Montoya. His last lap was marginally slower, but then he didn't have a clear track. Now he has, and he's going for it. And Ralf Schumacher has just made the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 27.554, compared with the lap record of 1:27.5. So he's just 0.2 of a second off Frenson's all-time lap record here on this circuit, 1:25.5 in the Williams.
Yes, it's a 25.5 then is the outright lap record, but Coulthard in second and Ralf Schumacher in first. They are just leagues ahead of anybody else in lap time. They're just about 2 seconds a lap faster now than this man truly, and Häkkinen then is getting held up at a similar pace. So Schumacher, Ralf that is, and David Coulthard waltzing away with a 12-second gap up front.
Jarno Trulli in 5th position. That is an improvement there he is, an improvement of 2 places on his grid position for the start of the race. Jordan's doing very, very much better this year in comparison with last year, because they are, after all, in 4th position in the Constructors' Championship, behind Sauber, notably, in 3rd place. Ferrari and McLaren, of course, 1st and 2nd, with 15 points behind them. Schumacher, Ralf leads. David Coulthard 2nd. A big gap between Coulthard and Trulli, a big gap in Formula 1 terms, a very big gap, 10.2 seconds. And Ralf Schumacher, the man who has 14 years of karting experience behind him, where it's real cut and thrust, wheel to wheel, devil take the hindmost stuff, is revelling in it. We're revelling in it. You can join us soon. We're going to a break. It's hot at Imola, hot in terms of temperature, or starting to get that way, and hot in the race. Ralf Schumacher still leading David Coulthard, and now the fastest man on the track, Ralf Schumacher, that is, 1.7 seconds. Jarno Trulli in the Jordan is still third. But Martin and I have just been talking, and I think both of us believe that Montoya, there he is in 5th place, followed by Barrichello Ferrari and Michael Schumacher Ferrari, could be on a one-stop strategy, whereas the men in front of them more likely to be on a two-stopper, in which case things are going to dramatically change in about 15 laps' time. We'll see.
Yes, but of course, if you say it takes about 28 seconds to make a stop, already by lap 12, they are some 20 seconds behind, so it doesn't look like it's working out at the moment. Hakkinen getting a bit ragged out of Toza. He's been in the dirty air of that Jordan through all 12 of the laps, and I think really struggling. Hakkinen out of position, I would say, but it's a wonderful duel up at the front. Ralf Schumacher and David Coulthard absolutely slugging it out lap time for lap time. James, what can you tell us?
Well, down at Ferrari here, no drama whatsoever. They don't seem particularly agitated, even when Michael Schumacher had that moment coming out of the final corner. It must have been some sort of glitch, but they don't seem too concerned. I think you're right, it's a terrific duel at the front, but I think what we're seeing today is split strategies within the team. I think they've sent one car out with a slightly lighter load than its teammate, so you'll see the Ralf Schumacher-David Coulthard partnership coming in a little bit earlier, I think, than Montoya and Hakkinen. It looks to me also as though Michael has got a lot of fuel on board. There's a long way for this thing to play out, but the key thing is what you just said there, Martin. Michael is 20 seconds, Michael Schumacher, 20 seconds behind the leaders already after just 10 laps, and he really has got his work cut out if he's going to make a one-stopper work for him today.
Well, we're on lap 14, and I'm going to give you the gaps now so that you can take that into account. Schumacher Ralf is 1.8 seconds ahead of Coulthard, 17.8 ahead of Trulli, and you can see on the caption there what the others are. So now let me take you back to the track as you look at Montoya, Juan Pablo Montoya. You saw him talking to Louise Goodman on that Amsterdam trip. He really is an extremely nice, very balanced chap, and he's getting a bit major grip on Formula One.
Yes, they've dropped Kimi Raikkonen now off the back of the two Works Ferraris, because we saw Schumacher and Barrichello make the move into Rivazza 1. Raikkonen's not been able to pass Panis, and he's tucked up behind him still. They've fallen over 6 seconds behind, which is a great shame. So it's given the Ferraris a bit of breathing space in 6th and 7th place.
Lap 14, Coulthard having another attacking mode. He's quicker in that first sector than anybody regularly. He's got the car set up extremely well. He's been working with his mechanics. They had to rebuild the car after the first day's practice because he had gone off and damaged it. They were here until 4 o'clock in the morning, the McLaren mechanics, back again just a few hours later to do the usual stuff that they have to do for the qualifying and other practice sessions. And look at the way they are closing up on each other now as coming towards us, Trulli, Hakkinen. We're riding now with race leader Ralf Schumacher as he laps Tasso Marquez in the Minardi, the European Minardi, on lap 15 out of 62.
Yes, and what's interesting is Ralph's quickest through the longer, twistier middle section, which suggests his tyres are very much in good shape, and he's able to pull now about 0.3 of a second out of Coulthard through this part of the racetrack, Acqua Minerale, and up through the top chicane. So that suggests that Schumacher's car is in very, very good shape.
He said yesterday, I just hope it's not wet during the race. We're going to be in real trouble if it is. Well, it's 26 degrees now. It's getting hotter all the time, and the Michelins love the heat. Michelin is still feeling their way back into Formula One, feeling their way back very successfully, I might say, because this is the 4th race of the year out of 17, and they are leading it at the present moment. And Montoya in the other Michelin-shod Williams is in 5th position. They are very much the stars of the French manufacturers' teams.
Curiously though, look, Michael Schumacher's only just hanging on to the back of this pack, isn't he, Murray? He really is struggling to match the pace, only by a few fractions of a second per lap, but he's just hanging on. He's not really joining the party.
He did his usual trick just before the race of sitting impassively in the car while they were working out on the back of it. You have to get onto the grid 15 minutes before the race starts, or you have to start from the pit lane. He left it until 16 minutes before the race started, before he actually came out of the garage, and then he calmly sat at the end of the pit lane for a while and did a practice start. Mind you, he's pretty experienced at this stuff. He's getting towards 150 Grand Prix since the first one that he drove in 1991. And there is Jarno Trulli, Mika Hakkinen, Montoya, Barrichello and Michael Schumacher. The gap between them is about 2 seconds.
And here's that Raikkonen-Panis battle for what it would be 8th position, and Kimi just cannot find a way past Panis. Really, he has not got a good race set up at all, really fighting that car, and Villeneuve a further second down the road.
Villeneuve baffles me this year, Martin. I mean, he had a terrible debut year with BAR the year before last, after he had left the Williams team. He got better last year. The car is much better this year, but somehow Villeneuve doesn't seem to be on it in comparison with the way Panis is going. Could it have something to do with the after effects of that colossal and terrible crash he had at Melbourne in Australia?
Don't think so. I think he's just struggling to really get the car hooked up. Panis is doing a particularly good job. He's not doing much for Jacques Stock at this time, that's for sure. But you know, this was one of Jacques' great drives last year at this racetrack. Tremendous drive to finish 5th, a charge all afternoon, but he hasn't got the car to his liking so far.
Lap 17 now, and the gap is extending, getting bigger between Ralf Schumacher and David Coulthard. 2.1 seconds, as again David Coulthard goes fastest in the first sector. It's very much a battle between the Williams BMW and the McLaren Mercedes. Let us not forget that McLaren are powered by that mighty Mercedes-Benz engine, which is made by the Ilmore concern at Brixworth in England. And a mighty fine engine it is. It's a new one this year, but it doesn't seem to be up to snuff as far as the BMW is concerned. Honda are there as well, of course. In terms of engine, we've got BMW leading, we've got Mercedes-Benz second, we've got Honda in 3rd position in Jarno Trulli's Jordan. And the Italian Jarno Trulli is now nearly 21 seconds behind Ralf Schumacher. Jordan lost a lot of their key personnel over the winter. They got an enormous amount of strength and depth. Here is Ralf Schumacher crossing the line. David Coulthard holding that watching brief in 2nd place there, now on lap 18 out of 62.
Yes, and a new fastest lap, as you can see, for Ralf Schumacher. That was 4/10 faster than David on that last lap, so the gap now up to 2.6 seconds, and Ralf very much putting a spurt on in this sector of the race. We're going to take a short break.
Impressed with Jarno Trulli. I'm impressed with Jarno Trulli. He's in 3rd place at the moment. He's holding it very strongly. The highest that he's ever finished in a Grand Prix is 1 second place in his career. He's going well. The Jordan is quick, the Jordan is reliable. They're benefiting from their association with Honda. You're looking now at Jarno Trulli. There he is 3rd, ahead of Mika Häkkinen, who can't do anything about him. Montoya can't do anything about Häkkinen in front of him.
And here is a replay of a very bizarre accident that happened to Kimi Räikkönen, who was sitting in 9th place. I can only assume it's some kind of suspension failure. He went off all by himself going up the hill. A very, very strange accident. Never seen a car in the wall there ever, not even in the rain. It's an impossible place to go and crash. But up front, Coulthard's really had to step back on it. Ralf Schumacher put in some blistering low 1:26s, and Coulthard appeared as if he couldn't respond initially. Now he's also got down into the mid 1:26s. The current lead, Ralf Schumacher, is 3.4 seconds over David Coulthard, and it really is a slug at the front. They're just going for each other. They've got some 25 seconds over the third place man truly, and Jenson Button then in from 17th place for what is a very early pit stop, if that's a scheduled stop.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It looks like a scheduled stop. He's come on and taken on some new Michelin tyres. Lap 27 was when I was expecting the first people to come in. It's lap 20. But since we're just about 1/3 through the race, lap 21 out of 62. Here are the top 10 with gaps. Ralf Schumacher leads Coulthard by 3.5 seconds. And Trulli, who is third by 25 seconds. Häkkinen, who is fourth by 27. Montoya, who is fifth by 28. Barrichello, who is sixth by 28.5. Michael Schumacher, who is 7th by just under 30. Panis, who is 8th by 40 seconds. Jacques Villeneuve up into 9th place, 41 seconds behind Ralf Schumacher. And in 10th place, the second Jordan of Heinz Harald Frentzen. Now, I really am expecting things to change after the first round of fuel stops. I'm expecting some of these people that we're looking at right now, as they are strung out along the circuit, with Michael Schumacher not making any headway at all on Rubens Barrichello. I'm expecting things to change, because I'm expecting some of them to go through when the others do their one stops. We'll have to just wait and see what that is. Rubens Barrichello, incidentally, who has had a lot of criticism from other drivers, particularly Ralf Schumacher, on account of the fact that there have been comings together with his Ferrari in every race this year, needs to finish well up in the top 6, and at the present moment he's only in 6th position, and James Allen is in the pits.
Yeah, I've switched over now to the McLaren garage, where there's a bit of gloom on the part of Mika Häkkinen that he's being held up, and all the cars behind him as well, Montoya and the two Ferraris, being held up by Jarno Trulli. It's not something they expected for Trulli to be so far forward. Obviously, it's increasing the sort of disparity between the top two runners, Ralf Schumacher and David Coulthard, and everybody else. The picture is not quite as it seems at the moment. Obviously, Ralf and David are making hay while the sun shines, but the first round of pit stops for those two is going to be around about lap 23 to 26. There's a lot of subtle variations going on in fuel load, different versions of two-stop strategies. There's a long, long way to go in this race. It's very, very finely poised.
Lap 22, let's just consider 1/3 of the way through the race the implications for the World Championship. David Coulthard is in a strong position because he's 6 points behind Michael Schumacher at the present moment. You're looking at Barrichello in 6th position, and David Coulthard is currently on 6 points for 2nd place. Michael Schumacher is currently on no points for 7th place. So if things stayed as they were, and they're not going to, believe me, David Coulthard would be tying with Michael Schumacher at the end of the race.
Well, Benetton, the third Benetton we've seen in the pits. You saw Jenson Button stop for a second time while James was talking about some race strategy. Clearly some kind of refueling problem for Jenson Button's car, but this is very, very early and only compounds the misery, I'm afraid, of the Benetton team currently running down in 14th and 18th. I'm not sure I completely subscribe to the idea that Trulli's holding everybody up.
No,
so Häkkinen is some 1.5 seconds behind him and lapping roughly the same pace. Clearly it would have damaged Häkkinen's tyres a bit earlier on in the race, but he's not. Look, there it is, you can see for yourself. Not exactly climbing all over his gearbox, is he?
No, there's Räikkönen being taken home on the back of the motorbike. No, I'd second that. I would say that Jarno Trulli is driving an absolute blinder of a race to stay the way he is, ahead of Häkkinen, Montoya, Barrichello and Schumacher. And down there is Ralf Schumacher leading the San Marino Grand Prix. It's nice to have a look at him because he's out on his own. He's nearly 4 seconds now ahead of David Coulthard, driving a calm, cool, calculated, immaculate race making the most use he can of that BMW power and the tyres that he's got and his own experience. And he is seemingly on his way to a debut victory in Formula One. But in order to do that, he's got to do another 40 laps. Into the pit lane comes Tasso Marquez. He has not retired, as you can see, in the European Minardi.
I think it's very significant what's going on in the front of this race. Remember, had it stayed dry and with no problems in the previous Grand Prix in Brazil, either Ralf Schumacher or Montoya, either of them could have and would have won the race. So I'm absolutely sure that you know, we're looking at that. So Michael Schumacher, I believe, he's got a front left puncture. So a miserable afternoon continues for Ferrari, and luckily he knew there was a Benetton coming around the outside in there. Michael's going to lose half a minute on this. Hopefully it won't delaminate Murray and start ripping the suspension. But there you can see a punctured left front, and he's got to go carefully such that doesn't do further damage.
Well spotted. Was that instinct, or could you really see it?
You could just see the car was hanging low on the left front from the overhead shot.
Incidentally, we may have a look at the magic front brakes on the Ferrari. They've got some special combination of circumstances as a result of which there is far less wind resistance. But anyway, that's all academic. It looks as though Michael Schumacher is going to have to do another of his classic recoveries if he's going to go anywhere in this race.
And look, the people he was running with are right down at Tosa, and he's cruising around Rivax's at the far end of the circuit. He's already half a lap behind, and that's not going to help his championship chances at all.
So, looking good for David Coulthard. Even if he just finishes second in this race, he would be tying for the lead of the World Championship with Michael Schumacher, assuming Schumacher does not finish in the points, but he's going to struggle, even Michael Schumacher, to do that. Now, the Ferrari team already, they're going to attack the car. Up goes the front, up goes the back, on goes the fuel filler. Obviously, they're filling up and changing all the tyres and wheels at this point. Force majeure, they've got to do it. He's a long fuel stop. 12 seconds, 13 seconds nearly, and out he goes. And Michael Schumacher, as he goes by, that's Tasso Marquez. So now Michael Schumacher is running last, 19th and last. Retirements from Kimi Raikkonen, Jos Verstappen and Fernando Alonso from the San Marino Grand Prix. 16 left out of the 22 who started. You've just seen and are now seeing Ralf Schumacher in the Jordan is there, and James Allen. More news.
Yeah, disastrous as the Jordan guys come out. They're obviously going to make a pit stop, probably for who is it?
Trulli.
Trulli's in the pits, in fact. Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at that, Michael's been very unlucky today, but he was slightly lucky also, because that puncture happened on lap 25, which is just inside the window where he could have fueled it to go to the finish. You saw that the fuel nozzle was on for a very, very long time. It's been a very strange afternoon for Ferrari. They made a mess of things in Brazil. They got the setup of the car wrong, threw away the race. They've had a terrible time so far. Heaven knows where this will get Michael. He's got a lot of ground to make up, but I do believe, guys, he's fueled to the finish.
Repeat this after me. Nothing stays the same in Formula One for very long, and you're getting a marvellous demonstration of that now. Ralf Schumacher leads, David Coulthard second. Jarno Trulli has been into and out of the pits, and you're looking at Rubens Barrichello now, fighting in sixth position. The points, he's on one World Championship point at the present moment.
Yes, Coulthard just taking a second out of Ralf Schumacher's lead last time around, but I think it's because they're in traffic, as you watch now. Hakkinen and Montoya and Barrichello once again pretty much line astern, aren't they? So Coulthard then, he's now going through the traffic, and that's Michael Schumacher.
Schumacher out, touring in. All the body language and everything. James, you're on top of it.
Absolutely extraordinary. The Ferrari guys weren't ready for this at all. There was suddenly frantic activity in the garage, and Michael Schumacher obviously has sustained some damage on that car, and as a result of the puncture, and a catastrophic afternoon for Michael Schumacher comes to an end.
Well, it's his first retirement for about 10 races, and he's been right up at the top in all of them. It has to come sometime, even to 3 times world champion Michael Schumacher.
Yeah, but that was curious. He came in, and clearly nobody's expecting him. He wasn't on the radio, and he sort of swerved into the middle of the pit lane, almost like it was a free practice session. Luckily, somebody else wasn't making a pit stop at that time, which they could so easily have been doing. and you're not allowed to reverse in the pit lane. That is a big fine and immediate exclusion, and it looks like he's out of the race anyway.
So now, lap 26 out of 62, all eyes on Ralf Schumacher leading and David Coulthard second, because the gap between them and Mika Häkkinen, who is now in third position, is some 33 seconds between Ralf Schumacher leading and Häkkinen, who is third. Are they on a one-stopper? Are they on a two-stopper? And when I say who do I mean? Well, I don't know. It could be any way. But into the pit lane now comes the Prost. Just checking to see whether it is Mazzacane, the Argentine driver, who is in 14th position. Not bad for him, because Mazzacane, the highest he's had this year, is 12th place in Malaysia. Now, look at him surging through the field as he exits the pit lane. The third, fourth, fifth, sixth men go bursting past him, led by Mika Häkkinen third. Now, Montoya is up into fourth place as a result of Schumacher Michael's retirement. Into the pit lane comes Heinz-Harald Frentzen from 7th position, 1 place off the points.
Yes, so Frentzen then was running ahead of Trulli, who'd already made his stop. Remember, Trulli in the sister Jordan running third right from the beginning of this Grand Prix, and Frentzen rejoined. We didn't see where he fed back into the pack, but we're absolutely sure now that the Ferraris were one-stopping. I think Montoya too. If Ralf was one-stopping at the front, he's just done a 1:25.5 as Ralf Schumacher. That is an amazingly fast time. Does that beat the lap record, that 5:13, 5:24?
Hang on,
it's very,
I
very
can
close.
tell you the lap record is 25.53. He's beaten it by 1/100th of a second.
Yeah.
New lap record for Ralphie.
And he added 1.3 seconds to his lead. Coulthard cannot respond to that. If Ralf Schumacher stays out to some lap 35 or 38 or something, and who was that coming in the pit? The Montoya.
Yeah, it was Montoya coming in from 4th position. The first of the two Williams BMWs to stop. Under go the jacks, up go the cars, on go the tyres, in goes the fuel hose, down it comes the fuel. You see the mechanics, they lift their hands and out he goes. 9.5 seconds from Montoya on lap 27.
James pointing out down in the pit lane, that is Montoya's first ever Grand Prix pit stop. First time he's made it to
not
a
a
pit
bad
stop.
one either, because he's rejoined in good shape, and it's Ralf Schumacher now continuing to put down the pedal. He's on another very quick lap on lap 28 out of 62.
Second place man Coulthard in this lap, we believe. The McLaren mechanics out in the pit lane, we can see. So traditionally, the higher of the qualifying McLarens come in first, and or have first shot when they want to come in.
In pit, he's in.
Yes, he's in now.
And we're looking at the wrong guy. But now here is Häkkinen, and Häkkinen has got Rubens Barrichello right behind him. Remember, Montoya, who was between them, and there is David Coulthard, who was in second place. James, sorry.
Tyre wear pretty significant, I have to say. Remember that McLaren are running the soft of the Bridgestone tyres, and the mechanics are walking past me now carrying what amount to slicks, really. But Coulthard driving very nicely today. Great fight between him and Ralf Schumacher. And I heard what you were saying before, guys, about how well Trulli was driving, and it was no slur on him at all. But because it's so difficult to pass here, I think the guys behind him were just stacked up, biding their time. For sure, McLaren felt that Häkkinen has lost ground, but we'll see now whether they can make it up.
And look, this is Montoya chasing Trulli. So the computer hasn't shaken it all out yet after those stops. Is that Frentzen or Trulli?
No, it's Trulli.
We think it's Trulli.
Yeah.
So Montoya then, and we know they've got great straight line speed. Will he be able to have a nibble up the inside? And Trulli covering his line very, very well.
I'll take the inside. Oh, look at that! Montoya says, I'll have the inside on the next corner, and I'll have the place. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Off I go. And Montoya moves back into the points, 6th position.
Well, that was candy from a baby, wasn't it? I mean, Trulli put his car in the right place and then didn't commit, didn't go for it. When
Schumacher in, Ralf Schumacher in. Sorry, Martin. Ralf Schumacher in, race leader. 7 seconds lead over David Coulthard in the McLaren Mercedes. Nice clean stop. 8 seconds, out he goes. Ralf Schumacher now. I was busy talking about him. I haven't seen David Coulthard go through, but I guess he must have done. And
Ralph had a 7-second lead, Murray. He put those fast laps in, so there Coulthard, I've just heard the McLaren go past now, so Coulthard very much now in second place. And that is Hakkinen in, yes, and Barrichello then is going to move up to a temporary third place.
So watch this one carefully. Mika Hakkinen, double world champion. Yet to do well this year. He's only got one World Championship point as Mika Hakkinen. He's had a very bad start to the 2001 season.
And virtually a slick right front again on that. So it does appear then that both Ferraris were one-stopping. As we said, we thought that Montoya was one-stopping in the other Williams, and clearly he wasn't. So really, McLaren the first to blink on the pit stops up at the front, but only by one lap. Ralf Schumacher then maintaining his lead.
And Villeneuve, who had been in 5th position, exits the pit lane in the BAR. Incidentally, the Bridgestone right front of Mika Hakkinen in the warm-up this morning lasted 5 laps. 5 laps, and it was virtually as slick. There have been confident predictions that if a team does well and finishes on what are in effect slick tyres as opposed to 4 groove tyres, there'll be a protest from somebody because they might be judged to have an advantage by having more grip. But anyway, we're on lap 31 now. We're riding with Ralf Schumacher in the Williams BMW up to the Tamburello, left, right. Now he accelerates away. He's doing 185 miles an hour, and with flames coming out of the back of the Prost. That is, I'm just checking whether it's Mazzacane or Alesi. It's Mazzacane, yeah, it's Mazzacane retiring in the Prost with its Ferrari engine, last year's Ferrari engine, ablaze at the back. It's probably an oil line that's broken and a bit of oil catching fire. Hopefully the marshals will be on it. Yes, there they are. They're very, very good. I remember when Gerhard Berger had his terrible crash at the Tamburello in the Ferrari and it caught fire with him inside it. The Italian marshals were on it incredibly quickly and very, very efficiently as Mika Hakkinen dives out of the slipstream of Mazzacane's Minardi, of Marquez Minardi in 18th place to lap him.
I don't really know what happened to Jarno Trulli, whether he's had a problem or a very slow pit stop, but Trulli then has ended up behind Hakkinen. Remember, Hakkinen tucked up for the first 27 laps of this race behind Jarno Trulli, and Trulli's not worked out for him at all.
Villeneuve, and he smites the steering wheel in frustration, first with one hand, then with both of them. It is not his day, it is not his year so far. Jacques Villeneuve, the Honda engine erupts and pushes out a great burst of smoke behind him, and he pulls off the course very smartly indeed. Now, we are rather more than halfway through the race. We're on lap 32 out of 62 as Jacques stumps off. I am not at all happy about this, and Ralf Schumacher is leading David Coulthard by 9.3 seconds. Barrichello is in 3rd place and has yet to stop. Mika Hakkinen is in 4th place, 20 seconds behind him. It's going to be nip and tuck. There is Barrichello, incidentally. Montoya is in 5th place and he has stopped. And Jarno Trulli is 6th and has stopped. So we've just got the Ferrari that you were looking at a moment ago as Eddie Irvine comes in from 7th place in the Jaguar to stop.
Yes, and quite clearly then the risk that Ferrari took with the harder tyre and the one-stop is not working. It is not working. Barrichello is 20.2 seconds behind the leader, Ralf Schumacher, and they've all got to stop one more time.
You know, I'm always worried about saying something is going to happen because so often it doesn't. But I will ask a question. Are we about to see an historic race? The return of Williams to victory, accompanied by BMW and Michelin. Because Ralf Schumacher has certainly got a major grasp on this race. The last race that Williams won, and it was not with a BMW engine then, it was with a Renault engine, was the European Grand Prix at Jerez in 1997 when he won the World Championship.
Barrichello in then, so 3rd place man Barrichello in on the ideal stop point at the end of lap 33. So Barrichello in for what will be his one and only stop of the afternoon. Didn't put much fuel in it though, did they?
No, and I'll tell you why, because Mika Häkkinen is bearing down. I haven't seen him go past yet, and it looks to me as though Rubens Barrichello has retained his third position in the Ferrari. Yes, he has. Rubens Barrichello is still third after his pit stop. There is Mika Häkkinen in the background.
Yes, they've changed the strategy then. They've elected to short fill it and keep track position over Häkkinen, and now they know that with their fresh tyres and not too much fuel on board, Barrichello should be able to pull out an advantage. But they're racing for the final place on the podium, subject to reliability. Ralf Schumacher, David Coulthard way out front.
Right, let's quickly establish what is happening. Michael Schumacher is out of the race, no points for the first time for about 10 races. His brother Ralf leads on lap 33 out of 62. David Coulthard is second. Barrichello is third in the Ferrari. Both McLarens are in the top six because Häkkinen is fourth. Montoya is fifth. Jarno Trulli is sixth. We are leaving here, and as usual, we will be back. Join us then. It is the 35th lap of 62 in the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola. You are looking at Rubens Barrichello, who has made his pit stop, as have all the top six. And Barrichello got out of the pit lane after having had a very short stop and taken on less fuel than he might have done normally in order to stay ahead of Mika Häkkinen in fourth place, which he did. Here is Ralf Schumacher continuing to dominate the San Marino Grand Prix, leading Coulthard by 12 seconds. After that magnificent start, remember he started from third place on the grid and he burst through past the two McLarens and surged away, and he stayed at the front ever since, including his pit stop. Superb driving, reminiscent of his brother.
Tell you what, it might be Easter Monday tomorrow. Coulthard then 12.6 seconds down, but there's some heavy meetings going on at McLaren, Ferrari and one or two others. These Michelins are looking seriously strong very, very early, and they're going to, some of those are going to want to jump quite soon without upsetting the apple cart where they're at.
Yeah.
And clearly there'll be some politics going on if some of these teams decide they want to jump to Michelin.
Yeah, I must say I've never had any doubt that the French concern would be up the front very quickly. They've been in Formula One in the past, they've dominated motorcycle racing, and just about every category of motorsport when they've been in it. They've got an enormous number of very experienced people at Clermont-Ferrand, where they do their designing and manufacture, and they didn't come back into Formula One lightly. They came back to win, but as you say, Martin, I don't think anybody expected them to win their 4th race after their return. They haven't won it yet, of course. We're on lap 36 out of 62, but they're certainly looking mighty strong, as they did in Brazil. And there is Mika Häkkinen. Well, look at Mika Häkkinen's lap time compared with that of Rubens Barrichello in front of him. He is marginally slower. He's certainly not gaining on the Ferrari at all. So whatever Ferrari's plan was in terms of tyres doesn't seem to have worked. Starting on the harder Michelins, which were about half a second a lap slower in qualifying, may well have been counterbalanced by their strategy, as race leader Ralf Schumacher, that you are looking at, comes up to lap Eddie Irvine in the Jaguar.
Yes, I think it's a point we've got to make, actually, because we're talking about the Michelins being very good today. The next Michelin runner is Eddie Irvine, some 83.8 seconds behind, who's about to be lapped. So we mustn't forget, there's a pretty solid motor car there that Ralf Schumacher's driving and going extremely well.
Nor must we forget that Sir Frank Williams and Patrick Head made their choice to switch from Bridgestone to Michelin very early on, as a result of which it was a BMW chassis with Jörg Müller, the German ex-Formula 3000 driver, at the wheel that has done all the development of these tyres. There are the Williams people in the pit lane. There is Eddie Irvine. Well, he's in 9th position in the Jaguar. If there's a bit of rot, he might even finish in the points, because there's still a lot of this race left to go. Some 26 laps. Now let's compare the speed of the Cosworth-powered Jaguar with the BMW-powered Williams, as Ralf Schumacher closes up on Irvine to pass him. Eddie will see the Williams in his mirrors. He'll move over, he'll let it through. A very experienced campaigner, and we'll be able to see how Ralf Schumacher now stretches his wheels as opposed to his legs and surges away from the Jaguar. We're with him now.
So then up over the top of the hill towards Piratella, and see how quickly the corner comes up on you. You must get in quite early. There's plenty of space on the exit, and Ralf really not fighting that car at all, is he? And sweeping through the right hand, is a bit bumpy on the way through, and then the steering loads up heavily as you go into the foot of the hill and pop over the crest, using all of the track you can find, and keeping it as smooth as you can. And another corner that pops up on you, you've just got to clip a little bit of curb, but as we saw with Alonso earlier on there, too much curb, and you just leap through the air and spear straight in the wall, and then you just release your grip on the steering slightly before grabbing hold of it again and braking hard down into Rivazza. And Ralf, just with a touch of understeer, the car absolutely working beautifully then, and no correction on the exit, no apparent large amounts of wheel spin, and that's why you just keep driving forward. And when your car's working as well as that, it just seems so easy.
Now take it easy, passing Marquez, Ralf. Remember what happened to Montoya in Brazil when he came back against Jos Verstappen, and he was in the lead. Now, I've said well done by implication to Frank Williams and Patrick Head, but as ever, it's a team of people that design a Formula One car, and jolly well done to Jeff Willis and Gavin Fisher, who are respectively the designer and the aerodynamicist of the Williams concern at Grove, and everybody else, because no one man can design a Formula One car. Just like the drivers and the team at the track, it's a team that produces the car, and the Williams team have done a fantastic job. David Coulthard in the Adrian Newey designed or led car with the Mercedes engine is making no impression on him at all at the present moment. There's still a 10-second gap on lap 39 out of 62, with Rubens Barrichello still the same distance behind David Coulthard.
Yes, you can see the times on your screen, but that's really very much as they're going through traffic. Coulthard now's got the lead down to 10.3 seconds, but he's really very much driving for his World Championship this afternoon. Ralf desperately wants that first win for his Grand Prix career. Hasn't won since Formula 3, I think he was talking about to us the other day, and quite clearly Ralf on a different mission this afternoon. And when Ralf put that spurt on just before the pit stops, and Coulthard smart guy, he'll understand and realise he cannot match that. He's got to drive for those 6 points and hope he lucks into 10.
Well, at the present moment, McLaren are closing the gap in the Constructors' Championship by 4 points on Ferrari, who are leading it. We'll have to wait and see what happens, and you'll be back with us after the break. Laps to go at Imola for the San Marino Grand Prix as Jenson Button, miserable, down in 14th out of 15 left on the grid, exits the pit lane in the Benetton, and there is news from Louise Goodman.
News from Michael Schumacher, actually, Murray. Michael, a rare Ferrari retirement, sadly in front of the home crowd as well. Can you tell us what went wrong?
I mean, it wasn't a great weekend, all in all, honestly. The start wasn't perfect, and we had a problem with gear selection at one stage when 2 cars passed me, straight after again. And finally we had a retirement, and I can't tell you yet the reason. The result was a puncture, but there was something else wrong, I don't know what, which destroyed the rim, and that was the reason for the puncture. Out of precaution, Ross told me to stop, and I was quite happy because I saw the brake was a bit damaged, and you never know what can be the consequence, and here you need the brakes a lot.
With the benefit of hindsight, do you think you made the wrong decision on tyres?
Not necessarily. I mean, if you look, Rubens is up front, Häkkinen. I think the start was our problem. I mean, we were too far away off Coulthard. I don't know what lap times Rubens is doing right now while he's by himself. We should check this later. For qualifying it was probably wrong, but then for the race, the end will tell us.
Lastly, a quick word about your brother leading this race.
Yeah, I'm obviously very happy about that, and that's why I don't want to spend too much time. I want to watch and cross fingers for him.
Thanks, Michael.
OK, Michael, we can take a hint. Off you go to the pit lane to watch a little brother, Ralph, and they are very, very close to each other. And when they had completed the qualifying session with Ralf Schumacher in 3rd position and Michael Schumacher in 4th place, Michael, knowing that he wouldn't be appearing at the drivers' conference, which we always have in the media centre, smiled at Ralph and said, see you tomorrow. Well, tomorrow is today, and he's out of the race, and little brother is leading by 10 seconds.
Coulthard paying no attention at all to my idea that he should drive for 6 points. He's now beginning to edge that lead down. He's just done his fastest lap of the race. Looks comfortable enough, a 1:25.9 10.9. Still not quite as quick as Ralph's fastest, but David's got the gap down now to 10.4 seconds. Barrichello now singing along quite nicely, actually, roughly matching the pace of the leaders. Michael was saying, I wonder where he is in clear air and with some fresh tyres. Well, actually, he's going a lot better.
And Williams have got both cars in the top 5. Ralf Schumacher leading. Montoya looks like finishing a Grand Prix, having had his first pit stop. He's in 5th position. He's on 2 World Championship points. Jordan have got 1 car in the points, and that's Trulli, who is 6th. His teammate Ralph Frentzen, Heinz-Harald Frentzen even, is in 7th position. Both the McLarens, of course, are in the points. David Coulthard 2nd, Mika Häkkinen in 4th place. 1 Ferrari with Rubens Barrichello in 3rd place. And as I was saying earlier on, if the positions stay as they are, and they might do, there is not a tremendous fight going on anywhere at the present moment, although things can always hot up. It means that McLaren will have closed down the gap on Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship by 5 points. You're watching race leader, Ralf Schumacher, Williams, BMW.
Yes, down into Acqua Minerale. Michael Schumacher's brother talking about the rim being cut. That's very unusual. It means there must have been something wrong with the caliper, or they've got a very tricky and slightly mysterious cooling system on the front of that Ferrari that everybody's desperately trying to get a look into and understand how it works. And I wonder if there's been some kind of failure there. But the rims, you can just slice them open very easily with a sharp object. Or sometimes, you know, a little pebble gets stuck between the rim and the brake caliper itself and just grinds itself a little groove.
James is in the pits.
Down at Williams, what an atmosphere. You can just imagine. It's been a long time since these boys have won a race. Nürburgring 97 as Jarno Trulli makes his pit exit. Nürburgring 97, just think about that for a team like Williams with all these championships. They are on the edge of their seats, as you can imagine. Eddie Irvine, I see, has gone out of the race. But just doing a few quick calculations, we're expecting Ralf Schumacher to come in sometime around about lap 47. But I think Coulthard has 2 or 3 laps more fuel in. If he's going to make a motor race out of it today, that's the time in which he'll have to push. But as Martin said a moment ago, the Michelin tyres certainly are the ones to have here. They brought a new front tyre with them to this race, and it's been an absolutely fantastic performance by everybody at BMW, Williams and Michelin.
1 part-worn Cosworth engine in the Jaguar. Bobby Rahal, the new Jaguar team boss, was saying before the race, well, at least we've got the Jaguar reliable. Now we've got to make it fast. It wasn't reliable, sadly, for him in this race. Eddie Irvine out of it with a blown motor, but his teammate Luciano Berti takes his place in 11th position, where on lap 45 David Coulthard is continuing to push, but the gap is still over 10 seconds as Sir Frank, quiet as usual there, and Louise has got news.
I stood by with Jacques Villeneuve. Jacques, you look somewhat distressed by that retirement.
Yeah, definitely. It was looking like we're finally going to get some points this year. It's been a very difficult start of the season. It's been a bad qualifying yesterday. And we worked hard to get up to 6th, and to have a mechanical failure, I'm not sure if it's engine or a gearbox, it was very frustrating.
Is it turning into a frustrating season for you?
It's very, very heavy right now.
Thanks.
Not a happy man. Frentzen out.
Coulthard in the pit, Murray. Coulthard then for his second stop. He was just put in a 1:25.5 last time around, really trying to close that gap. It was 10.5 seconds last time around, and a good clean getaway then for David Coulthard, who's not really under any threat from behind. Barrichello 28 seconds behind him, but he now, if he wants to put some pressure on that Williams and he really wants to push Ralph, there you see Barrichello still coming around the last corner. So Coulthard then easily maintains second. Maybe he does need to keep pushing Ralph, you know, and see if he can force some kind of brake problem or whatever and maximise his points today, while Michael Schumacher has become yet another spectator.
Well, for sure, if David stays where he is, he's going to be the joint leader in the World Championship. And before the season even began, Ron Dennis, who knows how many beans make 10, said, watch David Coulthard this season, not Mika Häkkinen, watch David Coulthard. Remember, Mika Häkkinen was world champion in 1999, he was world champion in 1998. But Ron, the McLaren team boss, said, watch David Coulthard, and my goodness, he turned out to be right. that start with second place in Australia, then a third in Malaysia, then of course he won, and in comes Ralf Schumacher. Now let's compare his stop. We didn't really get a time on David Coulthard because the counter had gone berserk. Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. I would reckon that I was in my mind saying that David Coulthard had done just under 9 seconds for his stop. So out goes Ralf Schumacher. Now, there was about a 10-second gap before either of them had come in, and certainly Ralf Schumacher is well on his way now. He's on his 47th lap in 62. He is still leading the race. Now, he's driven in an awful lot of races, but he's facing the prospect as in comes Mika Häkkinen from 4th position, and Ralf Schumacher is facing the prospect of winning his first Grand Prix. The pressure is on.
It is, but he's driving brilliantly, isn't he? Look, I mean, Montoya on the same strategy now, who we're all raving about, is some 51.7 seconds behind Ralf. So that just, I think, tells you what a great job this man Ralf Schumacher has done this afternoon. I can't see, I mean, we think Coulthard's pit stop is about 0.2 faster, and it depends on the out and the in lap, so maybe the gap's going to be around 10 seconds again, and I really can't see where David's going to be able to pull 10 seconds out of Ralf Schumacher in the last 15 laps, and it's 10.065. Wasn't a bad guess.
What will his mindset be, Martin? Might it be I'll settle for 6 points and not try to take 10 seconds lead out of a bloke who is absolutely flying?
I just don't think he's got, you know, the car's so good that Ralph's got with him today. I can't see that David can pull 3/4 of a second per lap. Ferrari guys getting ready there for Barrichello, who changed the strategy halfway through the race to leapfrog Häkkinen. There's no way David can pull 3/4 of a second per lap out of this man without taking unnecessary risks.
Well, we'll tell you, the gap now is 10.6 seconds, so as a result of the pit stops, or following the pit stops, he's further ahead slightly. Rubens Barrichello, on go the wheels, the lollipop man, whose job it is to lift that when everybody has done their job. And I remember Nigel Stepney, the top man at Ferrari on the pit crew last year, had Michael Schumacher drive out marginally too early, as a result of which Michael drove over his foot and broke his ankle. And there's Montoya with the fuel line stuck. They can't get it out. This is not the first time this has happened.
Oh, he stalled it. He stalled it, Murray. He had he had a lot of revs on, and then the clutch seemed to be a long time engaging, and Montoya then with a dead engine. This has been a disastrous stop, and he was just heading towards some World Championship points, and surely it's all falling apart.
Well, you saw his interview with Louise Goodman. See the rear wheel spinning, hasn't got his foot on the brake, presumably.
It's stuck in gear, Murray. He's got to hit the neutral button while the car is running.
Oh, but there goes Trulli. Trulli's gained the place.
Yeah, you've got to, the pressure decays so quickly. You've got to hit the neutral button with the car up in the air. Otherwise, there's no hydraulic pressure left in the system. The front brakes are on fire. That's not a major drama, providing he can get out quickly.
Oh dear, Montoya, if there's any bad luck going, it's like Johnny Herbert used to be. If there's any bad luck going in the Williams team, poor Montoya seems to get it. Remember...
Oh, did you see what they did there?
Yeah,
he revved it up and just dropped it off the jack.
Yeah.
I hope the jackman's not still with it.
And I've seen that happen before, and it was Johnny Herbert too in the Benetton team, when he went charging out of the pit lane with the rear jack still attached, and they were shouting, "Stop, stop, stop," to him on the radio, and he was leaving at high velocity and wondered what on earth was going on, but they managed to detach the jack, and Johnny rejoined the race, driving at Le Mans, incidentally, as is Martin Brundle in the Bentley.
Yes, and Montoya then will be able to complete the race. He doesn't need a clutch again. He hasn't got another pit stop to do. And usually they don't use the clutch on the upshifts or the downshifts. They give it all the mechanism gives it a quick slap, but the cars will change gear without. But he's got other problems. Look, that was Montoya cruising. So Montoya then with some other problems. Normally the car will change gear absolutely fine without a clutch. You need it for the start and you need it for the pit stops.
Well, there's one man with a smile on his face as a result of that, and that is Eddie Jordan, because now as Montoya really does cruise, and you see Luciano Berti in the Jaguar, and we've got more news from James Allen,
who is being hustled out of the Williams garage because they're making a space for the car of Juan Pablo Montoya. I think he's going to retire from this motor race, guys. Really bad luck. It's the most eerie thing, though, when an engine dies in the pit lane. Everybody's standing around trying to get it starting again, and the frustration was intense, but it was only mitigated by the fact that they've got another car in the lead. A lot of excitement still at Williams.
Well, Bertie's having an enormous battle with Jean Alesi in the Prost. Bertie in the green Jaguar. He's just been passed. He's had to let Hakkinen pass to lap him and try to keep Alesi behind him at the same time. They're battling for 10th position, and Bertie has got it. His teammate Eddie Irvine is out of the race. That is Olivier Panis, who was in 8th position, getting a shove out, but it was only helping him. He was not in the same situation that Montoya was in. We're on lap 50, and as you watch the Bertie Alesi Jaguar Prost battle as they come up to go through, no, Panis keeps them back because he's fighting for position on the track. Lap 50, race order with 12 laps to go. Ralf Schumacher leads Coulthard by a comfortable 12 seconds and is lapping faster than the McLaren. Rubens Barrichello is 26 seconds behind Coulthard in the Ferrari. Mika Hakkinen is 4th, 9 seconds behind Barrichello. Jarno Trulli is in 5th position, 30 seconds behind Hakkinen. And Frentzen, as Montoya tours into the garage, both the Jordans are in the top 6, 5th and 6th, on 3 World Championship points at the moment, which would take them past Sauber to the place they regard as theirs in the Constructors' Championship, 3rd position. And for the 4th race in succession, Juan Pablo Montoya, who led in Brazil, retires. And that is Jenson Button fighting the Benetton. He's down in 13th out of 14 positions. I've said to him, Jenson, you've just got to bite the bullet at Benetton until Renault get that novel engine working, which they haven't by a long way yet, and rely on the fact that any experience is good experience, even if it's bad experience, if you follow me, because he's very early on in his career.
Yeah, that was a driving mistake. He took too much curve at the high chicane, but I think he's bored out there. The car's so slow. And really, there's not much inspiration when your car's not working, when your car's trying to throw you off the racetrack all afternoon. And this is a good scrap between Bertie and Alesi, but it's just for 9th place.
Everybody up to 6th has been lapped by the flying Ralf Schumacher, the 6th position man being Heinz-Harald Frentzen. And here is Schumacher coming up to do just that. BMW power versus Honda power. BMW have been out of Formula One before this year, since 1983, when Nelson Piquet won the World Championship in the Turbo Brabham. They had the Megatron engine, of course, which was basically BMW. But here they are back again and about to lap Honda power. Well, that is really something. Up goes the engine cover on Montoya's car. We're on lap 52, 10 laps to go at Imola. This historic circuit which has seen so much incredible racing. And is Frentzen going to yield? He's 86 seconds in a lap that's taking 1 minute and 27 seconds behind the race leader, Ralf Schumacher. Well, Schumacher can be pretty circumspect about how he gets past Frentzen, if he gets past Frentzen, because he wants to be very, very careful indeed not to replicate what happened to Montoya in Brazil with Verstappen.
Something very sick just going in. It's Luciano Berti, so the 2nd Jaguar of the afternoon. We've already seen Eddie Irvine out on the side of the track with an apparent engine failure, and now a sick-sounding Jag cruising around the racetrack of Luciano Berti.
Yeah, bad race for Jaguar. Here are the other retirements in the order of retirement. Fernando Alonso in the European Minardi into the wall. He's okay. Jos Verstappen out in the arrows. Kimi Raikkonen went off in the Sauber. Michael Schumacher had the puncture and wheel collapse in the Ferrari. Mazzacane out in the Prost. Jacques Villeneuve blew an engine. Fisichella has retired in the Benetton. We've seen Eddie Irvine go out with a blown engine, and Bertie is looking a bit sick at the moment. News from Louise Goodman.
Yeah, standing here with Juan Pablo Montoya. Tell us about that pit stop. It all seemed to be going wrong for you.
Yeah, I think, up to then the race was going quite well. It's not the best race of the world, but, we're going to score some points, and that was the idea, basically. And it's a bit sad because, so it seems that every race something breaks, and this time, like 5 laps before the pit stop, I got an alarm of the clutch and came to the pit stop. and I couldn't get any more gears or anything.
You're obviously not the luckiest man in Formula One, but things are going better for your teammate at the moment.
Yeah, I think for the team it's a great boost. You know, I led last time, he's leading now, and it's only like 10 laps to go, so we'll see what happens.
Well, Juan Pablo is very, very chipper indeed. He's a cheerful chap. He said he learned to be cheerful and phlegmatic in American racing, and he's certainly carrying it on here. You can carry on elsewhere, we'll carry on here, but we'll be back after the break soon. A BMW fan, or if you followed the fortunes of the Michelin Tyre Company as Tasso Marquez retires from the San Marino Grand Prix, you've had a hard time since 1997 when Jacques Villeneuve won the World Championship. Well, your good times may well be coming back, because we're in the closing stages of the San Marino Grand Prix. We're on lap 55 out of 62, and the man who continues to lead it in a dominant style is that man, Ralf Schumacher from Hörth in Germany, the brother of Michael Schumacher, who looks, and I emphasise the fact that this race is not yet over, and there have been many dramatic happenings in the closing stages of Grand Prix in the past, but who looks as though he is about to create personal history for himself, history for Williams, history for BMW, history for Michelin, by winning his first Grand Prix. He started ahead of his world champion brother Michael on the grid in third position. He burst magnificently into the lead by passing both pole position man David Coulthard and second on the grid Mika Häkkinen in their McLarens before the first corner, and he has been absolutely dominant ever since. A fabulous event for BMW if he stays where he is. A fabulous event for Michelin, who are back in Grand Prix racing for the first time for a long time and look set to win their Grand Prix after in only their fourth race. Ralf Schumacher leads David Coulthard by a diminished margin of 9 seconds. It was 10. But he may well, at this stage of the race, just be driving very carefully indeed to make sure he finishes. Rubens Barrichello is third, then it's Häkkinen, Trulli and Fritz.
Yes, we didn't see the lap. Bertie has managed to get running, and maybe he recycled the ignition. Often that helps, although he's still not got good straight line speed, just letting the Jordan through. But Ralph quite slow on the last 2 laps. We haven't seen those laps to see if he was in traffic, and the lead now down to 7.9 seconds over Coulthard. Coulthard making a charge. At that rate, he will be up with him before the checkered flag.
6 laps to go. James in the pits.
Nervous, tense time. 6 laps to go. It's not all over yet, as we all say. Last time by, Ralf Schumacher got a pit board saying oil pump. Obviously wanting a little bit more oil to get through to the gearbox and to the engine system. And as you say, Martin, lap time's just dropping off slightly. It's not over yet.
No, it was just under 1 second between their lap times on the previous lap. Here's Ralph, there is the Williams BMW. It's looking good at the present moment. Beautiful, clean aerodynamics on that car. He is ahead of Bernoldi in 11th position, who has therefore now been lapped for the 2nd time. And the Williams is on its 57th lap, so 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 5 laps to go. 5 laps of just over 3 miles, 15 miles. There's a lot of crossed fingers. There are a lot of lips being bitten, particularly there in the Williams garage, because it's going to be high drama if for the first time for such a very, very long time, when did something other than a Ferrari or a McLaren win a race? Well, the answer was a Jordan. Remember, Damon Hill won for Jordan. Remember, Heinz-Harald Frentzen won for Jordan. But it's been a long time since that happened. Ralf Schumacher taking his time before he passes Luciano Berti in the Jaguar in 10th position.
Yes, Berti then well off the pace now after that. It's seeming like he was going to have to drop out of the race, but he's managing to keep it going. Ralph then losing another 7/10 that time around, 7.2. But of course, look, he's got that traffic between himself and Coulthard, so I don't suspect any problems. I think he's just cruising and trying to minimise the energy and workload going through that BMW Williams.
Well, there's 9 potential points for the McLaren team, with David Coulthard 2nd, Mika Häkkinen 4th, compared with 4 potential points for Ferrari. 3rd position, Rubens Barrichello, a 5-point difference to McLaren's advantage. The present gap between them is 15 points in the Constructors' Championship. McLaren are going to be closer to Ferrari. Like I say, nothing stays the same in Formula One for very long. Ferrari, who look so very dominant, have been answered by McLaren. They've been patiently working away. David Coulthard actually let slip in a conference that he didn't really expect the McLaren to be fully on the pace until the Spanish Grand Prix, which is in 2 weeks' time at Barcelona. It'll be very interesting to see what happens there.
6.2 seconds now then, 6.2, and Ralph is playing it very, very cool, Murray. If he's got the oil sign, maybe he's got some high temperatures and he really does want to coast. He's going to have to pick his pace up again, because Coulthard now sensing a charge is going to be necessary. This is a slow-mo replay, just shows you the shock load and energy going through those front tyres up at the Variante Alta, the top of the circuit. And Ralph was very slow through the middle sector of the last lap, and we know he didn't have any traffic on that particular sector, but he's a 10th up so far on this lap through section 1, and at the top of the hill we'll get a new section 2. It was 34.5, 33.7 seconds this time around, so Ralph stepped back on the gas.
Yeah, meantime he's having to maintain his concentration on the 59th out of 62 laps, with this glittering prize of his first ever Grand Prix victory dangling so temptingly in front of him. And he's maintaining the pace magnificently at the present moment. Now there is David Coulthard. You can see visually the gap between them on the track as we look down from the helicopter. In terms of time on the previous lap, it was 6.2 seconds. When Schumacher is going through now and David Coulthard is following him, 6.4 seconds is the gap. And there is a close-up slow-mo replay of the Williams BMW bouncing over the curbs. He is on his, just coming through now to complete his 60th lap as we look at David Coulthard. Rubens Barrichello is making no impression at all on Coulthard, and therefore Schumacher Mika Häkkinen is still 4th. Jarno Trulli is still 5th. Frentzen is still 6th. The strangely detuned Heinz-Harald Frentzen, because he has been lapped. Now, Ralf Schumacher in the Williams BMW has lapped everybody up to Jarno Trulli in the Jordan Honda, who is in 5th position. Behind the top 6, it's Heidfeld in the Sauber as you watch Barrichello. Then it is Olivier Panis in the Sol BAR, 8th position. 9th is Jean Alesi in the Prost. Bernaldi in the Arrows has been lapped twice and is 10th. Luciano Berti, of course, has been lapped twice, 11th in the Jaguar. Jenson Button soldiering on. He's going to finish in 12th position if he stays where he is. 2 laps down in the Benetton Renault, which becomes a Renault next year. And the retirements, with the most recent one first, are Tasso Marquez in the Minardi, Montoya in the Williams, Irvine in the Jaguar, Fisichella in the Benetton, Villeneuve in the BAR, Mazzacani in the Prost, Michael Schumacher out in the Ferrari, Kimi Raikkonen in the Sauber, Jos Verstappen in the Arrows, Fernando Alonso in the Minardi. So Ferrari have got 1 car in the point scoring positions, the top 6. Williams have got 1 car, McLaren have got 2, and Jordan have got 2. And now the race leader, Ralf Schumacher, is on his 61st lap as Barrichello goes through, followed by Mika Häkkinen. The gap between them is 3.7 seconds, and unless something very dramatic indeed happens on this lap or the next one, it looks as though the race is set. I've said that before, only for things to change.
Yeah, so Ferrari played a smart move, didn't they? Realising that they'd gone wrong with the hard tyre one-stopper. They changed Barrichello's strategy, made him put a sprint on in the middle of the race, short-filled him, got track position, and now you see the result of that. He's managed to stay ahead of Häkkinen, and currently he's on target for his 2nd podium of the year. This man, Ralf Schumacher, has not yet been on the podium this year, and of course has never yet won a Grand Prix. So, final lap then, Murray.
Yeah, there's just 3 laps now, 3 miles now between completing the lap and his first victory for Ralf Schumacher, who will thoroughly have deserved it. I told you he'd been 14 years in karts, and then he went up to Formula 3. Like his brother, he won at Macau. I was there when Michael Schumacher beat Mika Häkkinen so historically at Macau, and then his brother did the same thing. He shone at Monaco in Formula 3, won the Japanese championship in Formula 3000, did his apprenticeship there, and then drove for Jordan. Could have won the Belgian Grand Prix, he thought, but was given team instructions so that Damon Hill rightly could win the race. And now the Williams mechanics are crowding the pit lane to look over that safety glass. There is Patrick Head will be coming out, and Ralf Schumacher from Germany, the brother of Michael, is going to make his parents very, very happy indeed as he drops down the hill to the Rivazza. That is turn 14 and turn 15 in this 18-lap race. This is an historic victory for Ralf Schumacher. His first. Williams are back. BMW are winning their first race since they returned to Formula 1 4 races ago, and Ralf Schumacher wins for Williams, BMW and Michelin the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola. He richly deserved it. He dominated it all the way, but David Coulthard, by finishing 2nd, now is equal in points with Michael Schumacher to lead the 2001 World Championship. There is a long, long way to go. This is only the 4th of 17 races, and this season is just going to go on getting better and better, with not just Ferrari and McLaren dominating things, but with Williams up there too, as Barrichello finishes 3rd, Häkkinen finishes 4th. The gap between Ferrari and McLaren in the Constructors' Championship comes down by 5 points, and we wait for Jarno Trulli Jordan and Frentzen Jordan. There they are, finishing 5th and 6th.
Yes, well, Eddie Jordan was lucky. Underpants badge he had on, his coach certainly worked out for him today with 3 World Championship points. Driver of the day, clearly Ralf Schumacher, brilliant start and dominated the race. Only David Coulthard was anywhere near his zone. The two of them in a class of their own this afternoon. Lacklustre drives really from Barrichello and Häkkinen and Schumacher while he was on the track. It just wasn't working out for them. And then the rest of the place is filled as much by unreliability as anything else. But good to see the Jordans up there in the top 6. Louise.
With the victor, Frank Williams. Frank, is it good to be back?
It's very good, actually. Everyone deserves this. They all worked hard as everybody else does. And Ralph triumphed magnificently today. He had it well under control all of the time.
It was a stunning performance from Ralph, wasn't it?
He's a winner. He's obviously reached the ranks of winners. And I think he'll make his own mark throughout the year.
What does this mean to the team? Because you've waited a while for it, haven't you?
Well, it means maybe we finally crossed the desert and got to the other end. In fact, I would say that definitely. The car is very competitive, BMW. And Michelin, a great job in their own departments, quite remarkable.
Well done, Frank.
Well, two brothers have never both won Grand Prix in the past. The Schumachers have made history now. There's a very happy BMW competitions director, ex-racing driver Gerhard Berger, talking to technical director at Williams, Patrick Head. I say again, congratulations to everybody at Grove at Williams who have backed up the team here so magnificently, with the news that Michael Schumacher and David Coulthard now jointly lead the World Championship ahead of Rubens Barrichello, who's 12 points behind them. Ralf Schumacher moves up to third position in the World Drivers' fourth position with 12 points, only 2 behind Rubens Barrichello. And Heidfeld is fifth, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen is in sixth position. Well done, Ralphie. Well done, Ralphie.
Yeah, it's good for Sir Frank Williams, isn't it, Patrick Head? Gerhard Berger, you know, remember he went to Le Mans first with BMW as competitions director, won the Le Mans 24 hours, now coming into Formula One, and Gerhard's really making his mark in a different sphere of Formula One. 10 times a Grand Prix winner too, as a driver, of course.
Yeah, look at that blue M at the top. M stands for Michelin, B stands for Bridgestone, and Michelin finished first and ninth with Jean Alesi, who finally got the Prost home. And so there's a lot of encouragement, not just for BMW on their return to Grand Prix racing, but for Michelin as well, and of course for Williams. Well, Ralf Schumacher can rightly go home to his Monaco apartment. He'll be testing, they'll be testing probably tomorrow. These teams never rest. They go straight from a Grand Prix to another circuit to test for the next race. Well, the next race is at Barcelona in Spain in 2 weeks' time on April the 29th. As Herbie Blash there just has a quick word with Rubens Barrichello. And we can expect now to have a three-way battle for victory at every Grand Prix this year. I would like to say a four-way battle in the hope that Jordan and or BAR would close up, but the gap at the present moment does seem to be too much for both of them. Williams have done an absolutely brilliant job, and it's going to be 3 at the top now as we wait for the victorious to appear on the podium. And Ferrari now lead the Constructors' Championship still, but by a diminished margin of 10 points. McLaren are 10 points behind them. Williams are in third position. They've gone up from 6th to 3rd as a result of Ralf Schumacher's victory. Jordan are still in 4th position, 2 points behind Williams. Sauber have gone down from 3rd to 5th, and BAR have gone from 5th to 6th. So, like I say, Ferrari, McLaren, Williams are the names to conjure with now. Mika Häkkinen, a good day's work, not as good as he would have liked. He's won so many Grand Prix in the past, some 18 of them to be exact. This was destined not to be one of them. And Mika Häkkinen has got 3 World Championship points to add to the 1 he had before, as David Coulthard and Ralf Schumacher make their way up the stairs to the podium.
It's an interesting situation at McLaren then. Häkkinen losing another 3 points to Coulthard now in the championship chase, and a full 32 seconds behind him this afternoon. So neck and neck, Coulthard, Michael Schumacher for the World Championship, all to play for as we head into the European season a little bit further.
So it will be the German national anthem that we have heard so many times before for Schumacher. That Schumacher was Michael. This one is going to be Ralf. The German national anthem for Ralf Schumacher, who will receive his winning trophy from Claudio Podesky. who's the Minister of Sport and Tourism here in San Marino. Mika Häkkinen doing what they all do, having a quick shifty at the competitive cars. If he tried to do that in the Jaguar garage, he would be given the old heave-ho before he knew where he was.
I suspect he'd be given a contract, actually, Murray, right now, if he did that in the Jaguar garage.
Yes, good point, good point. Ralf Schumacher, Williams BMW Michelin winner. 1 hour, 30 minutes, 44.817 seconds. I'm just trying to work out in my mind whether that is a race record. Yes, it is. So, Ralf Schumacher climbs onto the top step of the podium, led the race all the way, made the fastest lap, wins the San Marino Grand Prix, his first surely of many Grand Prix victories, and here is his national anthem. Who better to receive the Constructors' Trophy than Williams team manager Dickie Stanford on the left. And it is the British national anthem for Williams. And stay tuned for a great competition that we've got coming up after the break. But meantime, Ralf Schumacher, get used to the fizz and the bubble of champagne as it goes down your back, into your face, to signify that you have won. It's got a great feeling, and he's going to feel it again.
Ralf Schumacher wins his 70th Grand Prix then of his career, the 104th career win for the Williams team.
Here is David Coulthard gets his victory. Dickie Stanford's already got his. Rubens Barrichello for third position from Germano Bellini, who is the president of the FAMS. That will be happening any second now. What a great experience. You only get it once in your life. The first time that you have won a Formula One World Championship Grand Prix. And that is Ralf Schumacher's pleasure, victory, honour here in Italy.
Yes, and Bernie Eccleston does a very nice little touch when you win your first Grand Prix. Not that I have, but I know Coulthard has. And he sends a very nice little metal plaque that's nicely inscribed.
And here it is, Ralf. Feel it, enjoy it. Well done.
arrivi da parte di Bob Costanduros, Michele Mambelli, Paolo Ciri, che sono io, e Carlo Costa, capo della squadra degli speaker, con grazie per essere stati presenti al 31esimo Gran Premio Mustang di San Marino. E vi ripeto ancora, mi raccomando, non buttate il biglietto, vi darà diritto il 30 settembre in occasione del mondiale Superbike qui a Imola allo sconto Formula 1 Superbike per 2. Presentando il biglietto odierno riceverete un...
And Rubens Barrichello, third for Ferrari. Ralph, you spent a lot of years watching Michael Schoup, your brother, clock up over 40 Grand Prix wins, and now you've done it yourself. Talk us through the start. Last year you got on the grass at the start, this year the same again.
Yeah, it was the same situation, but this year I was a bit further, and luckily David gave me the space. And yeah, I think it was a clean start. Beside that, you know, from there on I was in front. I couldn't even believe it, to be honest. Then pull the gap out. Then after a few laps I thought he was going to go a bit quicker, so I had to push again because I had to watch after my brakes a bit. And from there on it was a pretty long race, I must say. I mean, you know, it took ages, to be honest.
But notably, you led every single lap of the race. David was about 3 seconds behind when you came in for your first pit stop. But I noticed after that pit stop and after your second, you were very quick straight out of the pits. Did your tyres heat up super fast? You were very competitive.
Yeah, I mean, as we saw in previous races, we just were caught out by a bit of bad luck, really. I mean, the Michelin is a great tyre, and especially in race conditions, is doing a great job, and we saw that today. I mean, everything went perfect. The car setting was great, and the engine, obviously. So, you know, that's why we have the result.
Thank you very much, Ralph. David, could I have your version of the start? Because you were on pole position, but Ralph came through from third place, and then he seemed to open out a little bit of a gap on you before you started stabilising it.
Yeah, no, I moved a little bit just before the start and had to stop the car, and then that's when the lights changed, so I then got too much wheel spin. And to be honest, I thought that I was going to be swamped at the start, but I presume Mika must have made a bad start as well. And then I sort of sensed Ralph was on the inside, and I was getting ready to move that way. And then obviously I had to move to make sure that there was enough space for us all. And then I was interested to know just how quick he would be in the race. And obviously, to my great disappointment, I found out he was quicker than I was. So, you know, congratulations to Ralph on his first victory, and to Williams BMW.
We mentioned how Ralph seemed very quick after his pit stops, but your second set of tyres, they didn't seem to be, from the outside, as competitive as your first and third sets of tyres. Is that correct?
I had a little bit of inconsistency set to set, which made it difficult for me to be really pushing the whole race. So I'd say that, in actual fact, this is probably the most difficult Grand Prix I've had this season in terms of balance. But if you can still pick up 6 points in those situations, then you know, it all helps for the championship.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, David. Rubens, mixed starts from Ralph and David, but yours seemed to be very slow away. Were you carrying a lot of fuel because you then ran on for 30 laps, fully half of the race?
Well, I think we had a great strategy, to be honest with you. I had a slow start. I had too much wheel spin. You know, I could follow everyone. I didn't know how many times they would stop, and I was just trying to. I mean, Imola is very, very difficult to do that. I was losing time behind Mika, and luckily I had 3 more laps when he came into the pit, so I could go fast, and you know, and then my race was decided there. It was a great race for me because it started from so far back. It was good to come up, do some quick laps, and finish on the podium.
Now, in the very early laps, Michael appeared to make a mistake and you moved past him. I don't know if he had a problem, but then later in the race, obviously, Michael came in. Was it relayed to you what the problem was with his car, and did you start thinking it could happen to yours as well?
I didn't know what was going on with Michael. I saw that he had a problem with the balance, and probably he wasn't very good on braking. So when I saw him going wide, I took my chance, and I saw that I was quite fast. I was quite happy with the balance of the car throughout the weekend. I think it got us by surprise, the traffic in qualify, and the start, you know, falling back to 8th place. Otherwise, I think we could have fought for you know, with the big guys.
Thanks very much, Rubens. Back to you, Ralph. Is this the start of something big for Williams, BMW, and Michelin? 3 marked companies that are getting back onto the big stage.
Well, I mean, it might be a bit early, but we have been pretty strong the whole season. Obviously, have been caught up by some bad luck till now. But you know, I think we have to keep on working. We have a great package together. We just need to improve it bit by bit, and it might be possible. We'll see. We try our best.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Now, Rubens, and first Ralph in your own languages, please.
Ja, misschien wel het begin van iets moois voor Williams, Michelin en voor BMW. Een super trio met een goede rijder, Ralf Schumacher, die hier vandaag zijn eerste Grand Prix won. En dat had te danken aan een goede start. Hij had het geluk dat David Coulthard niet helemaal goed weg was en een klein gaatje liet en hem er voorbij liet. En zo kon Ralf Schumacher de leiding nemen en die niet meer afstaan. David Coulthard vertrok van pole position. De wagen bewoog heel even voor de start, moest hem weer stilzetten. Kon toen pas weg, slechte start. Ja, toen moest hij Ralf Schumacher dus wel voorbij laten. En hij dacht bij zichzelf, nou, ik moet het maar eens zien hoe snel die Ralf Schumacher in de race is. Ja, dat had hij beter niet kunnen denken, want hij heeft hem nooit meer teruggezien, Ralf Schumacher. Coulthard blij met zijn 6 WK-punten, belangrijk voor de strijd in de wereldtitel. Rubens Barrichello vond zelf dat hij een goede race heeft gereden. Viel terug naar de 8e plaats, had een slechte start. En werd uiteindelijk toch nog derde, omdat hij 3 rondjes langer door kon rijden naar de pitstop van Mika Häkkinen en daar het verschil kon maken. Dus alom toch tevredenheid bij Rubens Barrichello. Goed, Tommy, de eerste zege voor een man tegen wie jij hebt gereden, Ralf Schumacher. Dus ja, voor jou een mooie dag.
Ja, absoluut. Het was mijn eigen teamgenootje en ik heb toch een jaar lang met hem van hotel naar hotel en van circuit naar circuit gereisd.
En verder?
Ja, we hebben ook veel gekke dingen natuurlijk gedaan, maar dat zijn dingen die houden we voor onszelf.
Oké.
Nee, ik vind het grandioos. Ik feliciteer hem hiermee en ik zal hem zeker nog wel eventjes een telegram of een telefoontje dragen.
Prima. En dan gaan we dus over 2 weken naar Spanje, naar Barcelona. Dat is dan de 5e race in het wereldkampioenschap. Hier nog even de uitslag van de 4e. En wat staat het daar dan mooi bovenaan. Voor het eerst in de geschiedenis van de Formule 1. Ralf Schumacher. Niet Michael Schumacher, nee, die andere. En volgens mij is het nog nooit voorgekomen dat 2 broers in de Formule 1 allebei een Grand Prix hebben gewonnen. Coulthard op de 2e plek. Barrichello dus 3e. Häkkinen toch nog 3 WK-punten voor hem. Maar die is nog toch wel duidelijk nu in de schaduw van David Coulthard beland. Hij moet de rol van tweede rijder gaan spelen de rest van het seizoen. En dan nog de 2 Jordans op de 5e en de 6e plaats. En Bernoldi met finish en Verstappen moest uithuilen, Tom.
Ja, helaas. Heel jammer, heel jammer. Hopen dat het in Barcelona een stuk beter gaat. Heeft Aeros in ieder geval vorig jaar best wel laten zien dat ze hele snelle rondetijden hebben kunnen rijden. Ik ben benieuwd hoe zij de traction controle voor elkaar hebben. Ik zou heel graag onze Nederlander weer eventjes vooraan willen zien rijden. Is goed voor het enthousiasme.
Ja, want zo begon het seizoen wel in Australië. En met name in Maleisië die goede race van Jos Verstappen. Het zonnetje stond hoog aan de hemel in Imola. Dat was gisteren wel anders. De temperaturen waren aangenaam. Oké, hier en daar nog een bodywarmer. Maar kijk, bij Eddie Jordan kon de jas al uit. En het overhemdje met de korte mouwen kwam tevoorschijn. David Coulthard, de man op pole position. De uitgangspositie voor een goede prestatie. Michael Schumacher moest vanaf de 2e rij vertrekken. En let op de start van Ralf Schumacher. Die is heel goed. Heeft daar een gaatje aan de binnenkant. Eventjes door het gras en op die witte rand. En dan heeft hij de leiding te pakken. En dan pakt Jarno Trulli ook nog Mika Häkkinen. Balende gezichten bij McLaren en tevredenheid bij Williams. Dan gaat het al gauw in de race mis met Michael Schumacher. Problemen met het schakelen. En dan valt hij terug. Hier Fernando Alonso stuiterend over de curbstones. En dan sneuvelt zijn rechtervoorwiel en is hij de eerste uitvaller. Dan Barrichello en Michael Schumacher in gevecht met Olivier Panis. Een mooie inhaalmanoeuvre van de Braziliaan bij de Fransman. Dat kan dus wel hier. Maar Panis had veel problemen met zijn wegligging. Prachtige beelden van de heren coureurs. En dan Räikkönen. Zijn stuurtje zat los. Ja, dan kun je niet meer sturen en dan vlieg je van de baan af. Weinig vrolijke gezichten dan bij het team van Sauber. Die Heidveld uiteindelijk 7e zien worden. Lekker band bij Michael Schumacher. Ook dat nog. Veel pech voor de koploper in het wereldkampioenschap. Het uitvallen van Jacques Villeneuve. Die hier nog wel in de race was. En zijn teamgenoot voorbij ging. Prachtige beelden natuurlijk. Gefilmd vanaf de zijkant. En hier een camera in de helm van een van de monteurs. En dan is het afgelopen voor deze man, Michael Schumacher. Vandaag geen punten voor hem. Maar dan heeft hij nog wel zijn jongere broertje in de strijd. Even de touché bij Montoya. Zoals Tom Coronel al zei van volgens mij hebben ze elkaar geraakt. Nou, dat was het bewijs. Ja, je moet maar durven en Montoya durfde het. De uitvallen van Gaston Mazzacane. En dan sneuvelt hier de motor van Jacques Villeneuve. Volgende uitvallen, Giancarlo Fisichella. Mika Häkkinen koerst af op de 4e plaats. Liet zich aftroeven door een latere pitstop van Rubens Barrichello. Dan Eddie Irvine, ook hij haalt de finish niet. En ook daar moet de brandblusser eraan te pas komen. Montoya wil dan wegrijden en dan slaat de motor af. Het probleem bij de Colombiaan, die zegt nee, het lukt niet. Kan uiteindelijk dan toch nog weg. Maar een ronde later is hij opnieuw binnen. Dan is het toch eventjes schrikken geblazen bij Williams. En wordt Ralf Schumacher geadviseerd om op zijn tellen te passen middels het bord. En dan is het spanning alom in de pits van Williams. Haalt hij het wel of haalt hij het niet? Tazo Marquez in ieder geval niet. Coulthard, ja, hij probeerde het wel, maar kwam niet meer in de buurt van Ralf Schumacher. Dansend over de curbstones haalt hij in Imola zijn eerste zege in zijn Formule 1 loopbaan binnen. Prachtige overwinning voor de broer van, die we voortaan maar niet meer zo zullen noemen, maar gewoon Ralf Schumacher. Staat op eigen benen en heeft zijn eerste overwinning te pakken. Dus wordt er flink geknuffeld bij het team van Williams. En daar is de oudste van de twee Schumachers, Michael, om zijn jongere broer te feliciteren. De handen omhoog op het erepodium. Hij heeft hem te pakken. Wat een mooi moment in de loopbaan van Ralf Schumacher. En dan smaakt de champagne heel goed. De man van de dag, de terechte winnaar. We kunnen niet anders concluderen. Ralf Schumacher. En wat een vreugde ook bij Williams. Eindelijk weer eens een overwinning voor de Engelse renstal. Het was al lang geleden. Luxemburg 97. Tifosi gaan naar huis. Wij hebben een leuke race gezien. Nog een keer de stand in het wereldkampioenschap. 2 man samen aan de leiding. Michael Schumacher en David Coulthard. Dat belooft dus nog wat voor de rest van het seizoen. Over 2 weken zien we elkaar terug. Tot dan. Dag.
We'll steal it. If you don't want it, we'll keep it.
So, give it to me.
You're in charge. 2 passes.
I won't be feeling the guy.
gamba. Ora non ci si può sapere. Poi si sapere.
Ja, wie muss ich das erklären? Ich glaube ja, dass ich arbeiten bin.
Trying to get the champagne. Oh dear.
Have to be happy now.
Yeah, very much so, yeah. Yes.
How does it feel?
Awesome. Because something like this is a big...
Siamo, capito? Poi deve essere questo, F2. Sarà federale. Visto che ormai che non ce n'ha 30. Senti, ma facciamo una cosa, allora io quando fermo la referente, io sento Frank, così era quindi io faccio Frank e Berger, capito? Il resto di Williams sono che fanno.
See, we try our best.
Great result then for Ralf Schumacher. He'd never even scored a point here at Imola before his first Grand Prix victory here today. Gerhard Berger is waiting down there to have a word with us. Gerhard, welcome. It's Jim Rosenthal from ITV. You've been up in our studio a couple of times, so you know who you're talking to, don't you?
Yes, I know. Hi.
Good man. What does it mean to you, this particular victory?
Well, it's a great day for us, I really have to say. I mean, we are back now with BMW since 21 races, and to have already the first victory, I have to say, big compliment on our people at home, because they did really a great job. Also, Michelin, I have to say, it's just the fourth race that they are back and they have the first victory. It's unbelievable. I wouldn't even dream about it before the season, that they're getting so quick, so competitive. And then I have to say, I mean, Williams, you have just to say one thing: they are winners, and they're always going to be winners. I mean, even if they are sometimes in the last 2 years had a bit difficult time, but they are back again, and I think we're going to see a lot of wins from them again.
How important do you think it is for the world of Formula One to have a different winner up there? It's the first time in 23 races that there hasn't been a Ferrari or a McLaren winning the Grand Prix.
Well, in the most of the history, we always saw two teams fighting each other, but everybody's hoping that the third team can enter this fight, and I think it shows already in the last race that we are close to it, and occasionally we're going to be able to disturb them. And I mean, we have big goals, and I think we are getting close enough now to hopefully regularly disturbing them.
As a heck of a good driver yourself, how would you evaluate what Ralf Schumacher's done here today?
Well, I have to say it's just a reputation of what he did in the first 3 races already. He's doing a brilliant job this year. I mean, he's using our package nearly all the time to the maximum, as he did again today. I mean, he just had a great qualifying yesterday, great start, and never give it away anymore. No mistake, nothing. I mean, he seems to have similar potential than his brother Michael, and I think we are very happy to have him in the team.
Gerhard, thanks for joining us. I could go easy on that red and white wine round here tonight. There's plenty of it, isn't there?
Thank you. Bye.
OK, our thanks to Gerhard Berger, Mark Blundell and Tony Jardine remain with me in the studio. Now, Ralf, he started with us, didn't he? Melbourne 97, first Grand Prix on ITV and his debut.
Yeah, but also Berger was the last winner with BMW Power in Mexico in '86, so it's very fitting that he's there. But I think if you look back to 97 days, I mean, I'd hold my hand up and say, you know, that Ralf was particularly rocky in the early days. I remember him having off Fisichella in Argentina. He still got 3rd place on the podium, and he had crashes at Monza, he had a crash in Canada, a big win. He's trading on his name.
Yeah. We talked about Ferrari right at the start of the show, didn't we, Mark? We talked about the choice of tyres. Despite what Michael Schumacher said, do you feel they did get it wrong?
I think they did. And I think Rubens really confirmed that during that interview there. I think they made a big mistake with the tyre choice. They went for that strategy. As Martin picked up in the race, they had to change it. Luckily, pick up a podium. But they weren't that inspirational today, were they? Didn't look nothing fantastic at all.
Tony, if we look at the start of the race, we all were looking for David Coulthard, but Ralf got a flyer and nobody looked like catching him.
Yeah, David talked about the wheel spin that he got off the start, and there it is there. But look at the incredible traction that Ralf gets as he goes down the inside. But he's forging a path as well for truly coming down the inside. Michael Schumacher's gone from left to right to try and block everybody off, and even there, then truly just blocked Hakkinen at the last minute. But Ralph's already gone past. And David Coulthard, who was quite surprised by it, but you look at this, look at the wheel spinning, look at the smoke coming off the rear tyres there, of the McLaren. White line, bit of grass, Ralf goes through. Now look at the squeeze there, up on Trulli as he tries to go through and gets through into that 3rd place as well. Superb start from the Italian in the Jordan.
How's David Coulthard going to feel when he looks at that start on video?
Small error. I think, yeah, he made a little bit of a misjudgment there with the lights, but, you know, he got away from it, a little bit too much wheel spin. But listen, he's going home tonight, jointly leading the World Championship, and that's a big thing.
As Tony's saying there, for a long time, people said, well, Ralph is only in Grand Prix racing because his surname is Schumacher. I think he's laid that one to rest today. We've got some lovely in-car stuff of him, because once he was away, he drove a very mature race indeed from the front, didn't he?
Fantastic race. I mean, his work effort inside the car, look at it, look, it's just very smooth. Not really even any sweat on the guy when we saw him in the conference there with the press, but he has come out of his brother's shadow. Ralph Schumacher can now stand up on his own 2 feet and say, I am a Grand Prix winner, and psychologically this guy is going to move on. And a great situation there for BMW, Williams and Michelin. You know, we want to see more of this in Formula One.
Are you a bit surprised about that particular package, that they've become winners so quickly?
I'm very surprised and incredibly impressed. I mean, I think a lot of people down the pit lane were thinking that it was all going to come together, but only the 4th race into this season, and Michelin have done something with their tyres. BMW have only been around a season or so. Williams are back. We know the strengths of them, but years gone by. But you know, it is impressive to see these guys already winning the Grand Prix this early on in the season.
As we said, the turnout here wasn't quite as big as expected. They were all looking, though, towards Michael Schumacher, but it was never really going to be his day, was it?
He just didn't look that good this weekend. I mean, we saw it in Brazil even. You know, he got done a couple of times on the racetrack, overtaken. And I think Tony would agree. I mean, the guy just didn't look that impressive, did he?
Well, and also got this mystery, haven't we, from Brazil? What went wrong? What's happening with the car? At one point, Schumacher radioed into Ross and said, have you put my tyres on the wrong way around? We never had an explanation for that. We will hopefully get an explanation why they went on the wooden tyres and the others went on the normal rubber ones. But it's strange. And, you know, all the Italians here, imagine the press tomorrow at Gazzetta dello Sport. There's going to be huge inquests.
OK, we will take a closer look at what happened to Michael Schumacher at the San Marino Grand Prix in a couple of minutes' time. There's also a terrific competition still to come for you. We are reviewing the San Marino Grand Prix, won by Ralph Schumacher. David Coulthard, though, is the joint leader of the World Championship. Ralph is her elder brother, Michael. We're not going to be quite sure what has happened. I don't know whether Ferrari will ever tell us what's happened to their car in this race. But when Montoya went past him, we feared that something might be wrong.
Yes, something definitely went wrong there. I mean, obviously we saw that the guy had a puncture early on, but also at this point we see the video here, he's got an obvious gearbox problem and he's lost a couple of places. Will we find out? I don't think so. Them guys there, they keep all those you know, problems to themselves. They don't want anybody else down the pit lane to find out what their issues were. Yeah,
we got 1 or 2 sharp operators there that might just give us a best guess. He came in, Michael Schumacher, went back out again, but well, thousands of the Tifosi headed for the hills when he pulled out of the race.
Yeah, very unfortunate, really. I mean, yeah, the crowd did dwindle once Michael went out of the race, but something obviously up. You know, the puncture early on, then back out again. Didn't like the way the car felt. Yeah, he did say that maybe he saw something wrong with the brakes, and the end of his day. But you know, a great shame to see the Ferrari out, but you know, also good for Michael, for David Coulthard. I mean, good for him. I mean, more strength and more points.
Absolutely. Terrific day for Williams as far as Ralph Schumacher is concerned. Juan Pablo Montoya gave us, once again, lots of thrills, but ended up with nothing.
He's still got a long way to go, and he's not having the luck running with him. But and I know Mark has raced him in the States and seen him firsthand, this incredible car control. But what we love about him is his controlled aggression, the way he can force his way past. Here, they've come out after the pit stop. You know, Trulli's in front of him. There's 6th place there, 1 point up for grabs. Goes all the way through and then into the Tamburello. Look, gets inside him here, sticks it all the way out and gets through. I mean, it's a joy to watch. And for those people who say there's no overtaking in Formula One, with the new aerodynamic rules, you can get much closer up behind the guy's rear wings. Not quite as much dirty air. Wouldn't bother him anyway, would it? Dirty air, he'd just go for it anyway.
We spoke about his lack of experience at pit stops before the race. Well, he negotiated one OK, and although he might have been having problems with the clutch or something like that, the second one was curtains for him.
Well, I think it's a situation really that the fuel got stuck in there. Look, the hose is stuck, they can't get it out. At this point, he's got a load of revs on the engine, and these Formula One clutches are so fragile. I think he's probably just frazzled the clutch, burnt it out. And you see, they put it up on stands. They tried to get the wheel spinning because it's stuck in gear. And actually, something a little bit crazy. I thought they dropped him off the stands, and he shot off with the wheel spinning. And very lucky he didn't take a few guys with him, but obviously done a lot of damage and had to pull out the race. But you know, not his problem there. Unfortunate circumstances.
You're still confident that Juan Pablo's going to deliver for us, are you?
I've still got my bet on down at the bookies, yeah, so don't worry.
They got a few pizza parlours around here, haven't they? Lots of fires and things like that. And Imola, as always, gave us one or two spectacular blowouts, didn't they?
Yeah, it's strange as well because, as Mark was saying earlier on, you got the real, that was Mazzucani going, that was the Ferrari engine, that was a big one. Then we had Villeneuve as well with the Honda engine. And then Irvan, which is even worse because he's saying, oh, good old reliable R2, that'll get us home, and reliability will go for it. And they used the development of the Cosworth engine in qualifying yesterday. It's very rare to see flames coming out of the Jaguar like that.
OK, Jenson Button got round OK, didn't he, Mark? And again, he'll take a deep breath. Well, he had a tough old time here last year, was beaten by the curbs, but he's nowhere near competing at the sharp end of races these days.
No, but listen, he's got a little skirmish there for the chicane, but this is not his problem. It's like horse racing, you know, best jockey in the world and an old nag, never going to win. And, you know, we've got to analyse it like that. The Benetton is not where it should be. Jenson, don't give up. He's got the talent, that kid.
Good. I should just tell you about a terrific record that Williams have here at San Marino, the latest victory for Ralf Schumacher, and just look at that going back to Mansell in '87, Patrese in '90, Mansell again '92, Prost in '93, Damon Hill '95 and '6, Heinz-Harald Frentzen in '97, and Ralf Schumacher in 2001. Williams comfortably the most successful constructor in San Marino. Let's hear from Patrick Head, key figure in the Williams team. Here he is talking to Louise.
Patrick, first of all, congratulations. Winning isn't a new thing for Williams, but you've had to wait a little while for this one, so how does it compare to the others?
Yeah, it is a long time ago, 97, towards the end of 97 since we won last, and memory is short in this business, and I've certainly forgotten it, but it's good to be back, and one can only say Ralf drove an absolutely faultless race. He didn't put a foot wrong.
You've been kind of threatening to do this since the start of the season. Does this mean that we're likely to see a lot more victory from Williams this year?
I mean, I don't know. Obviously we'd like it to be, but we'll just go to every race and try and do our best. And, you know, there's always a chance from whether the car we get the car well set to the track, and whether the tyres that Michelin bring to the track are absolutely right. But they've done an absolutely brilliant job in the last few races, and you know, really pleased to see that. Yeah.
Now, a few nervous faces in the garage towards the end of the race. Were you one of them?
I was probably a bit twitchy. Yeah.
Well done.
Okay, thanks.
Got to mention ex-Williams driver David Coulthard leading the championship.
Yeah, I mean, faultless performance from him. He was superb, but by contrast, Hakkinen was awful. He was lacklustre. And I think a message from all of us here, get the weight behind David Coulthard. He's your man at McLaren, and he's got a very good shot at the title.
OK, let me just check the drivers' standings for you. 4 races gone, 26 apiece. Michael Schumacher and David Coulthard, Rubens Barrichello in 3rd place, but only just after 10 points for Ralf Schumacher, Nick Heidfeld, 7 for Sauber, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen, 6 for Jordan. And the constructors, Ferrari, a 10-point lead over McLaren, Mercedes, Williams in 3rd place, Jordan 4th, Sauber and BAR Honda. OK, now your competition. If you like your football, you fancy a trip to Milan and Monaco, here you go. It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to attend 2 of the world's greatest sporting events. The UEFA Champions League final, then the Monaco Grand Prix. It all starts on the 23rd of May with the climax of the European season at Milan's San Siro Stadium. Then on to Monte Carlo for the weekend with full hospitality for qualifying and the race. And 2 lucky winners will get a pair of tickets to both. What a week it's going to be. All you have to do is answer this simple question. Who was the last Englishman to win the Monaco Grand Prix? Was it A, Johnny Herbert, B, Nigel Mansell, or C, Graham Hill? A, Herbert, B, Mansell, C, Graham Hill. The number to call, 09065 811 811. 09065 811 811. We'll repeat the question at the Spanish Grand Prix in a couple of weeks' time. These great prizes, by the way, courtesy of Foster's, sponsors of our ITV F1 website, and the very best of luck to you all. Of course, you can catch all the Formula One news on that ITV F1 website. A load of Ferrari fans leaving Imola, knowing that the other Schumacher, Ralf, has won the San Marino Grand Prix here this afternoon. Okay, coming up for you a little bit later on, just before midnight, highlights of the race, more reaction, and that show repeated as always, ITV2, 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And a couple of weeks' time, we go to Barcelona, live qualifying, 11:30 on the Saturday, the race live from 12:15 on the Sunday, highlights later on. Sum it all up for us. Final thoughts from you, Mark.
Great day, Ralf Schumacher, very impressive. But I'm so happy for DC, and we touched on it during the weekend, consistency. Points make prizes, and I think he's got a good chance to go for the big prize at the end of the year.
Tony?
Traction control returns in Spain, but I don't think that's going to make a massive amount of difference. I just think it might make the playing field even a little bit more level, and we've got this great potential three-way race for the title in 2001. It's going to be even more exciting, so stay tuned.
Absolutely right. Okay, well, Ralphie Schumacher has certainly served his apprenticeship okay, hasn't he? Starting back in Melbourne in 1997. This his 70th race, and Ralf Schumacher is finally on top of the podium. Michelin and Williams are winners again in Formula One. Our congratulations to them and to the BMW power that brought Ralf Schumacher his victory today. But above all, don't forget David Coulthard, the Scot, joint leader of the championship as we head for Catalonia and Barca. Bye-bye.
But still a historical day today. So how was it if you saw the checkered flag?
Well, I'm not sure I can remember back that far, but it was, I don't know, sometime in 97. But anyway, it's very good to be back on the top step of the podium, and I'd say Ralph obviously did an absolutely faultless job. In the early part of the race, it was a real ding-dong between him and David Coulthard, and lap by lap he managed to pull out a few tenths, pull out of a bit of a gap that saw him ahead after the first pit stop. Obviously, goes to say for BMW, their first win after 1.25 years back in Formula One is a massive achievement, and Michelin, what can one say? Fourth race back in Formula One. It must make it look easy, but I know it isn't.
What do you see the main reasons? Was it just the perfect start?
Well, he obviously got a great start, and David was quite sort of gentlemanly in not crowding him off the track, but it was that obviously helped. But then he was just a bit faster. That's all there was to it. He was able to pull away, but by a small amount, but just by enough.
Was that the start of a new contender in the World Championship?
I don't know. We'll just go to every race and try and do our best, and you know, you look later in the year and see where you are. You can't predict these things. They go up and down, and that makes one of the things that makes them very interesting.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Richting hoch. Nochmal. Männer, bleibt hinten. Raz. Mario. Ja, genau. Mario, Ralph, down here.
Thank you.
Mario. Mario. Einmal zu mir. Einmal nochmal zu mir. Hey, Olli. Gut, Olli, komm on. Ralf. 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 Einen alleine mit dem. Das reicht jetzt. Nein. Komm jetzt. Alleine gewonnen.
said 5 minutes.
Ik denk zo snel mogelijk naar huis gaan.
Okay. A lot of wheel spin. You lost it at the start.
I lost certainly my position and my advantage at the start. I moved a little bit and then repositioned the car, and then when I actually went, I got too much wheel spin. But I think, to be honest, looking at the performance of the Williams and where they went in the pit stop strategy, they probably still would have won this race today.
Okay, equal with Michael now.
Yeah, no, it's good. That's obviously, it means we're all back to square one, and 12 more races or whatever, it's 30 more races to go. So still a long way in the championship, and obviously Williams are going to be in there fighting as well.
In the press conference, you congratulated Ralph. He drove very well, huh?
Yeah, he did, I think, an immaculate race. He looked strong. He was obviously well in control. The only thing that's difficult to judge is how much of that is the car and how much of that is the tyres, because he's on different tyres to us.
Let's try and find out in Barcelona.
Yeah, the only way we'll find out for sure is to drive their tyres, but we just work hard with Bridgestone to try and make sure we have the best tyre.
Ralph, many congratulations. You made victory today.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great feeling, obviously. After such a long period of working and waiting for it, we finally made it, and it's a great thing.
But David gave you the space, I think. Very nice of him.
Yeah, I mean, David gave me the space, but then again, I was already half next to him, and I think it was just fair from him, and he realized that I was just quicker at the start, so he made a space. I mean, David is a fair competitor usually, and he showed it today.
You have a nice little present in your hand. Has it something to do with Easter?
I'm just hungry, and I took it before I went out, but I had no possibility to eat it yet.
I thought it was a present because of Easter.
So you see, we stopped the interview and I eat it. Thank you.
Ralph, we've seen you looking up.
De Grand Prix van San.
It's getting close on the World Championship, but you have a new Schumacher opponent. How do you think?
I think he drove an immaculate race, and all credit to him and everyone at Williams. Obviously, it's a little difficult to know exactly how much of it is the car and how much of it is the tyre, but nonetheless, Ralph made the best of his package.
It was a tough start, and I think you acted like a gentleman, a bit too much like a gentleman.
No, that's the way I believe it should be. I just didn't make as good a start, and the only way I could keep Ralph behind me would be to deliberately block him. And as I've told you before, I don't think that's entirely sporting.
So how many people do you think will fight for the championship at the end?
I don't know, but it's certainly looking close between 3 teams at the moment, and I still think that we have some work to do to be consistently challenging Ferrari, and we have to keep an eye on what Williams are doing.
Does the comeback of the traction control change something?
It means you won't see me make a bad start like today.
Thank you.
Did you ever have the feeling?
Mika, you're fourth at last. What is bigger, disappointment not standing on the podium, or having finally reached the checkered flag?
I think the important was just to score points again. And if you look at the last year, this time of the year I had 6 points, and the leader had 30 points. So at the moment I have 4 points, and the leader has 26 points. So the whole championship is completely open at the moment, and a lot of things will happen still. So let's now relax and enjoy this result. I think it was great to finish 2 cars at this Grand Prix again, and to score points what we did. For me particularly after the Brazil, it was good to finish the Grand Prix like this and score some points, and also it was great after Brazil now to be in where we were in after qualifying, to be in the first and second, which show that way there is a McLaren is definitely stronger than ever again, and it proved again today. If our start would have happened perfectly in a grid, I believe the end of the day result would have been different.
Your comment about the debut winner Ralf Schumacher.
It's great. It's always fantastic to win a first Grand Prix. It's a really good feeling, and it certainly gives you a lot more confidence. And I hope it doesn't give too much for Ralf.
You think he deserves it? What happened?
Just the clutch. We lost the clutch before the pit stop, and when I went to lift out of the pits, you know, clutch wasn't working, so I had to start the engine, and when they drop out, I was already in gear. And when I went to shift to second gear, there's no more gears.
You've been pushing really hard. How big is disappointment now?
But, you know, those things happen, but, you know, there's more races to come.
Think Ralph will win it now?
I think it looks like. You know, so far I was just looking at TV and looked quite good.
Thank you very much.
Secondo giro con Ralph Schumacher, comando funzione 4 su Coulthard, 3 secondi e 6 su Trulli, 4 secondi oltre su Hakkinen e Michael Schumacher, che per il momento permane in quinta posizione. C'è stato un sorpasso alla variante bassa Verstappen, ha superato Prix, 16ª posizione proprio del Rilevante. Il primo dominio è stata una bella manovra. Coulthard ha girato in 28,4 contro il 27,9 di Schumacher, come giustamente aveva sottolineato Carlo Costa, il ritmo di Ralph Schumacher alla posizione.
Fernando Alonso, a spectacular and early departure from the race at the Variante Alta. What happened?
The brakes have gone. No brakes in the last 2 laps, so nothing to do. Overtook me Mazzacane and Tarso Marquez, and after was very dangerous, and the final I crashed before entering in the pit lane to finish the race.
Are you okay though? Because it was very spectacular.
Yeah. I'm fine, no problems. Very spectacular, but for the driver, it's okay. The car is very safety. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Prague, 10 Australia. Okay, forget it. Okay, mate, jump out.
Tasso Marquez, you nearly made it to the end of the race, but what caused you to pull off?
We don't know exactly yet, but I think it's position there. I think it's the throttle. Something with the throttle is wrong, and I just lost the power, lost completely the engine.
Now, your teammate Fernando Alonso lost his brakes very early on. How were yours through the race? Did you have trouble with those?
Yeah, we had since the first lap. I had a problem. The car was not braking on the front, just in the rear, so it was very easy to go up. It was very hard to drive.
Tough luck, Marco. Thank you.
Procedures at the end of the race.
Well done, Ralph. Spotless drive. Well done, all in the team. Very good.
Thank you so much to everyone. It was a great car, great weekend. Thank you. Well done. Well done. Well, just slow it down, do all the normal procedures.
You're back with us at Imola, so in his 70th Grand Prix, Ralf Schumacher is a Formula One winner, breaking the McLaren-Ferrari stranglehold that's lasted for 23 races.
Ralf, we've seen you looking up at the top step of the podium on numerous occasions. What did it feel like now you're finally standing up there looking down on everyone?
Well, I must say, you know, when you're once there, I think I still haven't realised it yet. It's just a great thing. Happy for the team, happy for myself, obviously. and I hope it's one of many.
How much were you expecting this, or is there any element of surprise?
Well, I thought so many times about winning a Grand Prix, and all the times that something went wrong, and this time I just thought, okay, you do a start and then you see where you end up. And there you are, we ended up first.
Congratulations, it's only your 4th Grand Prix. Were you expecting to be up there on the winners' rostrum so soon?
Thank you very much. Well, it's on one way it's absolutely unexpected. On the other way, we had all elements from the BMW, from Williams, to put everything together. But the trick is to put anything together. And thanks to Ralph, thanks to everybody, finally we did it.
Winning isn't a new thing for Williams, but you've had to wait a little while for this one. So how does it compare to the others?
Yeah, it is a long time ago, 97, towards the end of 97 since we won last, and memory's short in this business, and I've certainly forgotten it, but it's good to be back, and one can only say Ralph drove a absolutely faultless race. He didn't put a foot wrong.
You've been kind of threatening to do this since the start of the season. Does this mean that we're likely to see a lot more Victor Williams this year?
I mean, I don't know. Obviously we'd like it to be, but we'll just go to every race and try and do our best.
Well, David, you certainly gave it the best effort, but Ralph just seemed to be always just that little bit up the road.
Yeah, I think even if I'd managed to get the jump on the start, looking at when his strategy ran to, still think he was quicker than us today. And hard as that is to accept, we have to accept it and just say that they had the better race package. But nonetheless, I think I've had a good weekend, with the qualifying, and was pretty strong throughout the race, despite Ralph's performance. And obviously it's confused a little bit by the fact that he's in a different tyre to us, so you don't really know how much of that is car and engine and how much of that is tyre.
In terms of starting so far back, having all the problems that we had in qualify, not having a fantastic start and still finishing on the podium, I think it was a good finish at the end. I mean, Williams was really a good car today. In terms of times, I think we were really competitive comparing to McLaren, but at the end of the day, we were behind Coulthard in 20 seconds. There was no way to get back.
I was attacking in the end a lot, pushing really hard, because maybe they would have a brake problem or something, so I tried to push and to see what happens, but it didn't really work out 100%. And yeah, I mean, the choice what we did with the tires was, I believe, was the correct. It was just the one team with the hard tires, and it's hard to believe just the one team gets right and all the others wrong.
Our car didn't look so bad in the beginning. It's just a matter of a balance problem, probably with the tires problem in the middle of the race. So we have to look at the data and see what we can improve for the next races.
Well, it just didn't have a good start. On the right-hand side, there was somebody who did a jump start, and I was a little bit confused. And myself, I did a mistake as well afterwards. I lost a couple of places. I was really stuck behind on 11th place, and I tried to waiting for my opportunity to get more and more onto the front with a better pit stop. It worked, but we got a point today, and Jarno another 2 points, so gives us a little bit a couple of points for the championship. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's your confirmation of the result of the San Marino Grand Prix. Ralf Schumacher, the winner. David Coulthard in second place. Rubens Barrichello, the leading Ferrari driver. Mika Hakkinen still never won here. And a couple of Jordans, 5th and 6th. Trulli and Frentzen. The Drivers' Championship, 26 apiece for the reigning world champion Michael Schumacher and Britain's David Coulthard. Rubens Barrichello third. Ralf Schumacher moving up into double figures. Then Nick Heidfeld still going well for Sauber. And in 6th place, Heinz-Harald Frentzen. The constructors, Ferrari 10 points clear of McLaren. Williams up to 12 points. Jordan taking closer order with 10. And then Sauber and BAR. Now then, Tony, David Coulthard has never won back-to-back Grand Prix. And straight after the start, his hopes of doing so here went out the window.
They did, unfortunately. Just got too much wheel spin off the line. Behind him, Ralph on the formation lap had already really warmed up his times at the lightning start. And look at him going down the inside there. David Coulthard could do nothing about him. As Ralph's gone up onto the white line, truly dives through as Hakkinen tries to defend him, but that doesn't work out. Behind him, Michael Schumacher has the pack all over the back of the Ferrari. He tries to defend his line, but Ralph's already gone. And by this point, you look again, too much wheel spin from David Coulthard. Ralf Schumacher, bit of grass, bit of white line. Look at Jarno Trulli as well. Getting inside Mika Häkkinen. This is the start of Mika Häkkinen's misery as well. He should have been much higher up, but his start was awful.
A driving dream, really, for Ralf Schumacher, elder brother Michael, out of it, leading the race, and a beautiful car underneath him.
Very stable platform indeed, and the result of all the labours of the people of Williams, Gavin Fisher, the designer, Jeff Willis, the aerodynamicist. You see how stable it was under braking. Absolutely beautiful, and you can see this effortless flow in the driving of Ralf. In the past, he's been quite urgent, he's rushed the car along, and Williams would be the first to tell you that the car has been a bit jagged. A lot of development gone in over the years. Those 3 years in the doldrums, they dropped to 5th place in the constructors at one point. Potentially now we have, you know, a battle between Ralf and Michael Schumacher in the championship to come this year.
You surprised how quickly it's happened for that team?
No, I'm not, because they got to 3rd last year. Everyone was talking about the BMW engine. Everyone could start to see the development, the resurgence of the Williams team. And I think, as Berger said earlier, they're a winning team. They know how to win. That's very important.
So then joy for Ralf Schumacher. Juan Pablo Montoya showed us that great overtaking move a couple of weeks ago in Brazil over Michael Schumacher. Showed us something similar here, and then it all ended sadly for him.
The hero of Brazil, undoubtedly very exciting driver to watch, very aggressive after his pit stop here, and Trulli had pit stopped. In front of him, there was Trulli for the 6th place, and through the Tamburello forced his way on the inside. But later, coming in for that 2nd stop, firstly the hose had jammed. He'd already had problems with his clutch. He managed to get it in gear and go around, but he came in a lap later to retire. So bad luck, and a lot of learning for Juan Pablo yet.
The place wasn't full this weekend, but the fans, the Tifosi, came to see Michael Schumacher, a world champion in a Ferrari. I got the impression he was never really going to deliver.
Mystery deepens, Jim. You know, we don't know what happened in Brazil. We know he radioed in when the car was performing badly and under par. Have you put my tyres on the wrong way round? He has a puncture in the left front. He's limping back to pits. He's wandering all across the track. He's not thinking about it. He nearly got in the way of the traffic behind him there. They'd chosen the wrong tyres, it's been proved, the wooden ones instead of the softer ones, which the other teams went on. No points for Michael Schumacher. Where's Coulthard? Equal with him, leading the championship.
Yeah, but points for Coulthard, and surely he now is the main man in that McLaren team.
The Laird of Glencairn. 1 metre of Scottish land was bought for him by his sponsors. No joke, really. Of course, he won't use the title. But he's on a fantastic roll. You know, he's a free man, he's a free spirit. He's thinking differently this year. He started well. He's getting more and more confident as he goes on. His mechanics worked till 0400 on Saturday morning. By contrast, Mika Häkkinen, that bad start that we saw, a lacklustre performance, no doubt about it. Up until today, he only had 1 point in the World Championship. And therefore, if you think about McLaren, they should put their weight behind David Coulthard.
Final thoughts on the first European race of the season?
Superb. Shows we've got a 3-way battle coming up, and we look forward to traction control and all the electronic gizmos in Spain. Let's see what they can do with that lot.
Absolutely, that is coming up in a couple of weeks' time when we head to the Circuit de Catalunya above Barcelona, and the full ITV service throughout the weekend. Qualifying live 11:30 on the Saturday morning, and the race, all the build-up from 12:15 on the Sunday, and of course the highlights later. Another 6 points then for David Coulthard, second best to Ralf Schumacher here today, but eyeball to eyeball with elder brother Michael as we head for Spain. Bye-bye.
If you'd like to know more about Formula One, the website address sponsored by Foster's is www.itv-f1.com.
Flop Ferrari, ecco la verità.
Monsieur Top, perché si è afflosciata la gomma di Schumi?
Alors, monsieur, umiliata dalle Michelin, la nipponica Bridgestone si è fatta harakiri col cerchione.
Sfrecciano le monoposto sul circuito di Silverstone, ma i test di prova si svolgono nel silenzio, quello delle dichiarazioni più rigoroso. Saracinesche abbassate per la McLaren durante la messa a punto dei bolidi di Coulthard e Hakkinen. Paraventi bianchi davanti ai box della Williams per evitare sguardi indiscreti. I due piloti dei bolidi argentati sembrano scomparire nel nulla appena si tolgono il casco. Veloci fuori proprio come sul circuito. Il miglior tempo nel secondo giorno di prove è quello del finlandese, 1:22.460, seguito a ruota dal compagno di scuderia con 1:22.768. E fugge alla velocità della luce, anche a piedi, Ralf Schumacher, ancora inebriato dalla vittoria di Imola. Scappa alla presenza delle telecamere, qualche autografo fuori programma e una velocissima dichiarazione sfuggita agli microfoni spenti. Andiamoci piano con i pronostici, dice quasi per scaramanzia. I test sul circuito spagnolo erano andati male, anche se qui a Silverstone siamo migliorati molto, c'è ancora tanto da fare. Si sbilancia appena sulle rivali, ammettendo che la McLaren è al momento la più temibile, ma la rossa saprà recuperare su quelle migliorie dove invece appare essere in ritardo. Il tempo freddo e variabile dell'Inghilterra, sferze di sole, piogge e addirittura una spruzzata di nevischio ha reso difficile le prove delle gomme. La BMW Williams ha lavorato sul controllo della trazione e sull'elettronica, il cui uso sarà liberalizzato proprio nel Grand Prix di Barcellona del 29 aprile, dando vita ad una nuova era.
Hola, Pedro. Pedro, it's Olaf from RTL in Holland.
Hey, Olaf.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you have 2 seconds for me?
I'm in the middle of the meeting. Can you call me in 10 minutes? 10 minutes.
It's no problem.
Afgelopen week de grootste test vond plaats op Silverstone. Daar maar liefst 13 auto's in actie. Dominantie door de beide McLaren Mercedes'en. Voordeel voor Mika Hakkinen was dat hij een nieuw rondrecord liet noteren voor auto's met 2001 specificatie. David Coulthard zat dichtbij, maar ook de beide BR's maakten grote stappen voorwaarts. Gevolgd door Frentzen, Ralf Schumacher en Juan Pablo Montoya. Dan Alesi, daarachter Eddie Irvine. Fisichella moest het werk van Button overnemen, want die had pijn in zijn schouder. De La Rosa aan het werk voor Jaguar. Jonathan Cochet, de nieuwe testrijder van Prost, zat er redelijk goed bij. Luciano Burti deed eigenlijk maar 2 rondjes en zette geen tijd neer. Vanaf donderdag zijn de heren op het circuit. Vrijdag de eerste officiële vrije trainingen. Dan met traction control. Wat dat gaat brengen, zie je volgende week. Volkomen onverwacht heeft Luciano Burti gisteren bekendgemaakt dat hij weggaat bij het team van Jaguar. En vanaf de Spaanse Grand Prix voor het team van Prost zal gaan rijden. Zijn taken bij het team van Jaguar worden overgenomen door testrijder Pedro de la Rosa. Uiteindelijk had ik hem dan toch te pakken.
Pedro, when I spoke to you last weekend, you said I'm not going to watch the race from here because that'll hurt too much. Now you're going to be in your home Grand Prix. A surprise?
Yeah, it's a big surprise, extremely big surprise, because it all happened in the last hours yesterday. I was not told until lunchtime, and I was very happy really because I was not expecting it.
So you had a big party last night, or are you going to just work to be ready?
No, unfortunately it's better not having parties now because we haven't achieved anything yet. You know, just I have the race seat, but now we have to finish races and get some points for the team.
What can we expect from Pedro de la Rosa in the Jaguar at his home Grand Prix?
I expect to do a good job for the team. Finish the race would be very good, and if we finish the race, we will be in the top 10 close. So we just have to do the best. I know the track. I know everything. You know, so just not. I would be angry with myself if I would be too nervous. I don't want to be nervous.
Will the return of traction control, will that help the team further up?
I think it's been too much talk about traction control, but it's not a big issue. Every team is going to have the same systems, basically, so it's going to be no effect on the grid, and there's not going to be an improvement on the lap times because it's very similar. So basically, it's more. It's just the same stuff as before.
All right, we'll see you on Friday then.
See you then.
Prost heeft niet alleen een nieuwe rijder in de vorm van Luciano Burti, maar ook een nieuwe testrijder. Zijn naam is Jonathan Gauchet. En misschien denkt u, heb ik die naam niet eerder gehoord? Jawel, Jonathan Gauchet was vorig jaar de glorieuze overwinnaar tijdens de Masters. Begin augustus het belangrijke Formule 3 evenement wat elk jaar op het circuitpark in Zandvoort gehouden zal worden. Hij heeft inmiddels zijn eerste kilometers gemaakt voor het team tijdens de test in Silverstone.